coming to our activities for today on the Indonesian Korean Net Zero Climate Technology Cooperation Forum. Honorable Dr. Byung-Ki Cheong, President of GTC Korea, the Honorable our Chairman of Research Organization of Energy and Manufacture, BRIN, Dr. Ing Hasnan Abimanyu, the Honorable Mr. Marcel Silvius, Country Representative of GGGI Indonesia, Honorable of GTPI Advisor, Dr. Parlindungan Purba, selamat pagi Bang. Honorable Mr. Basuki Mincoy, LX International Indonesia, selamat pagi Pak Basuki. We are very proud that we have more Indonesian. Congratulations for your nationality. Honorable Dr. Jihye Guak from Korea Institute of Energy Research. Very good morning. We visit there 2 months back. The Honorable Kwang Yon Kim. Thank you very much, Dr. Kim, to arrange these activities, cooperation with us with BRIN. All the speakers, chairmen, and participants, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as we know that we have 1-day seminar today discussing on the Indonesia-Korea Net Zero Climate Technology Cooperation Forum, which is very important for us to tackle and to deal with the future climate change issue in the world. And the cooperation of GTC, Green Technology Center, with Indonesia start officially since 2019. At that time, GTC make the MOU with BPPT, Badan Pengkajian dan Penerapan Teknologi, now BRIN, transformed to BRIN, and we have extended and a lot of activities at that time until now with the various cooperations with the smart climate agriculture, cooperation with the joint webinar, implementation of innovation, research and innovation technology, and so on. As we understand that the Indonesian leadership in G20 presidency, we have 3 priorities, which is the first is the energy transition, the second is world health system, and economic and digital transformation. Hopefully our activities today can contribute to the Indonesian G20 presidency in 2022. And in the near activities, we have we propose the program with the Kemenko Marves and then also GTC Korea. We propose the Green Productive City and Region Cooperation Program, which is our proposing the pilot project collaboration resulting from the research and innovation implemented in a number of the regions in Indonesia. So input and support from all of the stakeholders, Indonesia and also Korea, we are very welcome to create the synergy and successful the implementation of the positive and sustainable cooperation for Indonesia and Korea. We discuss today comprehensively. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nugroho. Ladies and gentlemen, for opening speech, please welcome President of Green Technology Center Korea, Dr. Byung-Ki Cheong. Is he online?
Hello. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
Okay. Let me go on then. Good morning, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. As President of Green Technology Center Korea, it is my great pleasure to give an opening remark for today's seminar on Indonesia-Korea Net Zero Cooperation, co-hosted by GTPI of GTC and BRIN. I'd like to express my special thanks to President Dr. Hasnan Abimanyu and all the BRIN members, and extend my appreciation to all the attendees from the Ministry of Indonesia, CARE, KEI, Equation, and other institutes. Without your presence and willingness to strengthen our cooperation, this seminar wouldn't be possible. A close partnership between GTC and the BRIN dates back to 2019, when GTPI was opened in the Serpong Research Complex of BRIN back then. GTPI has made strenuous efforts since then to become a hub for climate technology cooperation between Indonesia and Korea. As a result, GTPI was honorably designated last year as an organization to support cooperative R&D of green technology between the Indonesia and Korea, according to the Intergovernmental Plan of Action for implementing the strategic partnership between them. Besides, GTC is expected to get a final approval very soon from the Asian-Korea Cooperation Fund on a comprehensive project for sustainable municipal solid waste management. We tend to believe that the project would contribute to implementing circular economy and net zero in Indonesia. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank BRIN for its support and trust making this accomplishment possible. In light of the progresses made so far, BRIN GTC partnership appears to have reached a stage to make a leap toward another level. This is what we intend to explore in today's seminar.
Dr. Byung?
Yes?
Excuse me, can you turn on your video?
You cannot hear me?
Oh, no, we can hear you, but we cannot see you.
Somehow.
Can you start your video?
I was blocked. Anyway, let me go on.
Okay. Sorry to disturb you.
No problem. Yeah, actually. As all of us are well aware, international cooperation is of vital importance as an instrument for the global community to achieve the goals of the Paris Agreement. In this vein, two recent events are calling our attention. Between Indonesia and Korea, a reinforced spatial strategic partnership was declared during Indonesian president's visit to Korea last July. Among four main areas of enhanced cooperation, low carbon economy and eco-friendly environment were included. In addition, our new president made a statement during an address in UN General Assembly last September. Korea will help developing countries transition to a low carbon future and share its innovative green technology with the entire humanity. These seem to set out the backdrop for today's seminar. Over 5 sessions, we will share information on national goals, strategies, and policies of Indonesia and Korea with a view to driving the areas and the projects for potential technology and policy cooperation. I regret I could only deliver my gratitude and blessing for this seminar online due to COVID-19. Once again, I am gratefully thankful to President Dr. Hasnan Abimanyu and all the members of BRIN for their strong commitment to the partnership and collaboration with the GTC. I have no doubt that BRIN and the GTC will grow as valuable and unrivaled partners, contributing to net zero emission and carbon neutrality for Indonesia, Korea, and global communities. I wish every attendee of the seminar to have enjoyable, inspiring, and rewarding time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Byung. Give applause, please. Okay. Now, for welcome speech, please welcome Chairman of Research Organization of Energy and Manufacture from BRIN, Dr. Hasnan Abimanyu. Time is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat pagi, annyeonghaseyo. Good morning, everybody. Honorable Dr. Chong Yong-gi, President of Green Technology Center, Korea. Honorable Dr. Kim Kwon-young, Director of Green Technology Partnership and Initiative, Indonesia. Honorable Dr. Marcel Silvius, Country Representative of GGGI Indonesia. Honorable Dr. Parlindungan Purba, GTPI Advisor. Honorable Mr. Basuki Minchai, LX International. Distinguished Director of Research Center for Sustainable Production System and Life Cycle Analysis, BRIN, Dr. Nugroho Adisasongko. Distinguished Keynote Speaker, Dr. Jihye Guak. Distinguished speakers and moderators, participants, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, let us say praise and gratitude to God Almighty, because with His grace and favor, we can gather here and meet today in this nice and happy place. It is an honor for me to be able to welcome you, the participants of the Indonesia-Korea Net Zero Climate Technology Cooperation Forum 2022. I would like to thank the committee from GTPI and BRIN that organized this event. And as we all know, that the countries in the world are required to reduce greenhouse gas emissions gradually until they reach carbon neutrality. Indonesia itself has committed to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 29% in 2030 and achieve carbon neutrality by 2060. I'm sure that Korea also has a commitment to the similar targets. So to fulfill these commitments, we need a strong research, development, and innovation, a sound industrial strategy, supporting policies, and also cooperation of all stakeholders. I hope this event with the theme Indonesia-Korea Sustainable Industry and Regional Development Research and Innovation Strategy and Project Cooperation can be a forum for sharing and exchange ideas, policies, strategies, and good practices in an effort to realize the net zero emission program so that cooperation between Indonesia and Korea is getting closer and the strategy of a synergy of stakeholders in order to achieve carbon neutrality. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish you a happy discussion, exchange of thoughts and experiments and experiences, as well as sharing good practices in this forum. And once again, I would like to thank the committee so that this forum can take place, and also to all those who contributed to this event. Terima kasih. Kamsahamnida. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Dr. Hasnan. You may be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, next is a congratulations speech. Please welcome Mr. Marcel Silvius, a country representative, GGGI Indonesia.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great pleasure and also an honor to be at this Indonesia-Korea Net Zero Forum 2022. International collaboration exchange of knowledge and expertise is essential for governments and industry to be able to address the existential threats that the world is currently facing, including climate change, but also the massive loss of biodiversity that is slowly but surely wiping out our capacity and the capacity of the world to renew the natural resource base that underpins our economies and livelihoods. Without such international collaboration, it will be impossible to align national and global policies and achieve the industrial innovation required to meet the targets that we have agreed in the UNFCCC, as well as the Sustainable Development Goals set in the United Nations. It is important to note that in this regard, much progress has been made by countries like Indonesia and Korea, and to discuss how we can take this further and accelerate green growth in order to build back better and achieve a sustainable world for future generations. In both Indonesia and Korea, we've already seen major policy developments, with governments adopting ambitious targets for net zero through low carbon development, as well as enhanced protection, restoration and revitalization of the natural resource base. We also see an industry that is eager to play its role and often leading in the transformation toward a circular and inclusive economy involving renewable energy, e-mobility, sustainable landscapes, and green cities. I'm particularly happy also to recognize the ambition of the Indonesian Chamber of Commerce through the Kaden Green Initiative to take bold steps towards net zero and green growth and inclusive development. So I would like to extend my heartfelt congratulations to BRIN and to the Green Technology Center, Indonesia and Korea for organizing this knowledge exchange in the understanding that this is an important event in a long tradition of collaboration between these two countries, and which will certainly continue, grow, and culminate in a steadily and increasing fruitful collaboration. Thank you very much. Kamsahamnida.
Thank you, Mr. Marshall. Next is the congratulations speech also from Dr. Parlindungan Purba from GTPI Advisor. Please welcome to the stage.
Thank you very much. Good morning, selamat pagi, annyeonghaseyo, kamsahamnida. I would like to thanks a lot for the GTPI, the collaboration between BRIN and Green Technology Center, for this is a very meaningful meeting. My name is Parlindungan Purba. I'm very happy to be here as the advisor for GTPI. There are many prominent people coming here. So thank you for Dr. Byung Ki Cheong, President of Green Technology Center at Korea. I know him more than 5 years at Seoul, and also Dr. Kwang Yong Kim, my friend, hard worker people, Mr. Pali Pali. And then Dr. Nugroho Adisasongko from National Research and Innovation Agency, Honorable Dr. Hasnan Abimanyu, the man who support. Thank you, Pak, for this event, and also Mr. Marcel Silvius from GGGI Indonesia. Thank you. And also Mr. Basuki Minchoy from Alex International. And I'm happy here to know that Mr. Kim Jae-pol from Korean Exing BEM, who is coming today. Thank you very much. And my friend Jaya Wahono and Mr. Koko, the man who knows about many things about transportation. Ladies and gentlemen, I think cooperation between BRIN and GTPI, it is very good. Here we discuss about policy, and we can discuss what is about the good cooperation, best practice. And hopefully this moment we can discuss about the bureaucratic things. hopefully the government Indonesia can support all the program of GTPI. I know that Bappenas and all related supporting. And in future, since we are the presidency of G20, we need for the support from the government of Indonesia, not only at the quarter in Jakarta, but also we are at the regional development. Fortunately, on 2004 until 2019, I'm the Member of Parliament Senator of Indonesia, which says DPD, Dewan Perwakilan Daerah. It means that at the time, all the development will be done at the regional, not only at Jakarta itself. So we can imagine how big is Indonesia. So thank you very much for GTPI, for BRIN, and also for the Green Technology Center that has some projects at the regional area. So hopefully in the next future, we can get some project as well, not only at Jakarta, because Indonesia has many people that needs to be solved for the, what I say, not only the economic itself, but also for the energy. Also, we would like to say that this year, as the presidency of G20, we need support from Korea. Thank you very much for Korea that has support for this program. Hopefully, the technology transfer and cooperation with BRIN also as the new organization, but it is all but new, can support each other and can develop not only in energy, because we face about the food problem, health problem, and digital problem. So I think this is the first step for the future. And also we know that the world, the player, you know, that in sustainable and development and green growth, this is very important, not only for us, but for our future generation. And hopefully also we face that there are 2,000 megawatt of diesel genset that mostly in eastern part. We have to think about this, how we can change it into the replaced by various types of renewable energy. And that time, 2004, my office from the member of DPD, House of Representatives, the time we proposed the bill of renewable energy. So we have finished that and we give it to the member of parliament at DPR. Now it's being discussed by DPR. Hopefully, bill of renewable energy can be proposed soon, so it can help. Though the government of Indonesia has made many peraturan menteri, peraturan presiden to support renewable energy. So I believe Korean technology should be able to provide the best solution to this difficult problem with the best technology from Indonesia. And last but least, I would like to say, for the future, for the GTPI, we have to cooperate with pentahelix. One, with the government, and the second with the society, and the third with the academician, and the fourth with the, what I say, with the media itself. And the last, the very important, we have to cooperate with the stakeholder, with the business entity. Because what we can do, if there is no stakeholder, there is no off-taker, there is problem also. And I know for the projects in the future, we have to think on these 5 things that will support at the business. And it has been discussed before by Mr. Kim for doing in the future. The last, I think I would like to say thank you. Hopefully, GTPI program will be successful in all parts of Indonesia. Thank you very much. Hamsamida.
Thank you very much, Dr. Parlindungan Purba. Next is Mr. Basuki Menchoy from LX International Indonesia for congratulations speech.
Selamat pagi para hadirin yang terhormat. Apa kabar pagi ini? Sebelum saya menyampaikan congratulations speech, izinkan saya menyampaikan speech-nya dalam bahasa Inggris. Padahal sejak September tahun yang lalu saya sudah menjadi warga negara Indonesia yang saya banggakan. Terima kasih. Well, good morning, institution representatives, distinguished members, and other participants. It is a great honor to be given the opportunity to stand before you and speak at this Indonesia-Korea Net Zero Climate Technology Cooperation Forum. I would like to start off by expressing my gratitude to the following honorable members for hosting this event on net zero climate technology. Mr. Jung Byung-gi, President of Green Technology Center of Korea. Mr. Kim Kwan-young, Director of Green Technology Partnership Initiative. Mr. Hajanan Abhimanyu, Chairman of Research Organization of Energy and Manufacturer. Mr. Marcel Silvius, Country Representative of Global Green Growth Initiative Indonesia, GGI, and Mr. Palindungan Purba, Advisor of Green Technology Partnership Initiative Indonesia, and Dr. Nugroho Adi Susongko, Director of National Research and Innovation Agency. I would like to congratulate the Green Technology Center of Korea, Green Technology Partnership Initiatives, and Indonesian National Research and Innovation Agency on reaching this great milestone. And of course, I would like to give special recognition to others who have dedicated a significant amount of time and effort into making this cooperation forum possible. Today, we come together to share our common goals and new solutions of sustainable development. Nations around the globe are actively working together to develop a stronger alliance and achieve low net carbon footprint in our daily activities. With that in mind, LX International is exerting great effort to support the carbon neutral globally, especially in Indonesia. Our company has been investing and developing a couple of renewable and sustainable energy infrastructure in Indonesia, such as Hasang hydropower plant located in North Sumatra, which currently supplies 41 megawatts of carbon-free electricity to PLN. We are also developing new energy sources to further support the energy transition process towards carbon neutrality. This includes development of a methane capturing project in the palm CPO factory and hydrotreated vegetable oil project, or usually we call HBO project, which is currently we are seriously developing project. Once again, I offer my warmest gratitude and appreciation to all the participants. I look forward to continuing working with you all towards achieving a brighter and greater future. Thank you very much, and selamat pagi. 감사합니다.
Thank you very much, Mr. Basuki Menchoy. We have seated, okay. Next, maybe this is the appreciation time. We have a token appreciation from BRIN. Please come to state Pak Hasnan Abhimanyu. Dan Bapak Nugroho Adi Sasongko, who is accompanying Dr. Hasnan Abhimanyu. Maybe not the state, di bawah aja ya. Itu Steve ya, di atas terlalu ini ya Pak ya. Ya boleh. We have a token appreciation. Okay. Please come Mr. Marcel Silvius to the stage, and Dr. Palindungan Purba. I'm sorry, I have to say Mr. Basuki Minchoy again to come, because Pak Hasnas will take a token appreciation with you. Pak Hasnan will give a token appreciation. Silakan di situ aja. And maybe some of participants and moderate speakers can join for photo group. Mr. Kim, you want to join? Please come. Ibu Wiwi, please come.
카메라를 이렇게 앵글을 돌리면
Give a big smile. 1, 2, 3. Thank you. And you may have be seated again. Now is the main topic for this morning. For keynote speech, please welcome Dr. Ji Ye-guak from Korea Institute of Energy Research with topic Energy Technology Innovation for 2050, Carbon Neutrality, Sustainable Green Growth.
Hello,
The
good
time
morning.
is yours, or the monitor is yours.
Okay, so I will share my screen. Can you see?
Sorry. Yeah, we see it.
And
Sorry,
can
maybe-
you hear me?
Okay.
Okay, wait a minute. Okay. So shall I start or?
Maybe first I will read your CV first.
Okay.
Okay, Dr. Kwok has been engaged in photovoltaics or PV research and development for many years at the Korea Institute of Energy Research. Korea's leading institute for research and development of energy technologies, including PV. She is currently a principal researcher of PV laboratory as well as the director of the Renewable Energy Institute of Korea Institute of Energy Research. After she received her bachelor and master degrees in chemistry from Ewha Women University, she joined Samsung Advanced Institute of Technology. After 2 years working in materials and device laboratory at site, she left to France to get PhD from University Montpellier, to France in 2003, and worked on membranes at Institut European des Membranes, Montpellier. She also worked in Eco-Materials Center at the National Institute for Material Science, Tsukuba, in Japan as GSPS postdoctoral fellow for 2 years, and joined KIRS in 2005. She has been working on PV since 2009, with her main research interest in solar cells based on compound thin film absorber materials. From January 2017 to February 2020, she has served as head of PV laboratory at KIR and deeply involved in various research topics, including solar energy area, as well as other renewables, mainly working on next generation thin film solar cell for BIPV applications. She has been serving as director of the Renewable Energy Institute of KIR since 2020. She co-authored more than 100 science papers, as well as obtained over 100 international and national patents in solar cell research field, and is continuing active R&D activities to contribute to overcoming the climate crisis and carbon neutrality issues through industry, academia, research cooperation. Okay, this time yours, Dr.
Thank you. Thank you for introducing. Thank you for inviting me. It's a great honor to be a plenary speaker. I'm going to talk about energy technology innovation for carbon neutrality 2050. So, sorry. Okay. So first of all, I'm going to introduce briefly about KIA. KIA is a government-funded research institute established in 1977 to develop energy technologies based on national needs and to disseminate the results. KIA has slightly more than 1,000 steps, and you can have a look about other related figures such as budget and so on. KIA's headquarters is in Daejeon, not far from Seoul, taking only 1 hour by KTX train, and has 4 branch centers in Busan, Gwangju, Ulsan, and Jeju, working for energy technology, responding to the needs of local governments and industries. As KIA is related to all kinds of energy technologies, the role and mission is providing solutions to energy and environment issues and problems via outstanding R&D performance, contributing to economic growth based on energy technologies to overcome global climate crisis for carbon neutrality by 2050. This is KIA's organization chart. Apart from administration, policy, or strategy office, etc., KIA has 4 major research departments related to R&D technologies for renewable energy, hydrogen energy, energy efficiency, and climate change. So I'm from the Renewable Energy Institute. KIA is dealing every kind of energy technologies except for nuclear energy because it's studied in another national institute. It means we have too many things to do, but resources are limited. Therefore, we regularly select some key technologies to support and study more in depth. The selected technologies in KIA are all heavily related to the net zero goal for society. We are all here today to talk about carbon neutrality, which means a state of net zero emission of greenhouse gases, mainly carbon dioxide. In order to reach that, first of all, we have to minimize greenhouse gas emission by human activities as much as possible, and then get rid of the remaining greenhouse gases by absorbing or capturing, etc. Although developed countries have been discussing climate change for over 30 years since 1988, efforts to respond have been insufficient. After the Paris Agreement in 2016 for all the countries to participate in responding to the climate crisis, in 2018, the IPCC published a report showing more scientific analysis and evidence on climate change, and that we have to reach carbon neutrality by 2050, severely declining greenhouse gas emissions, limiting global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial level by 2100. Since carbon neutrality is a global goal, if you look at the emission status by country to see how much greenhouse gas Korea or Indonesia is emitting, it accounts for 2% of the world's emissions, placing in between the 6th and 11th places. You may think that 2% is not a lot, but it is not a small number considering Korea's land area. Of course, Indonesia is bigger, but except for large countries such as China, the United States, India, and Russia. Moreover, all other countries are emitting less than 2%, except a few countries. So the carbon neutrality will not be realized without efforts of all the countries. So before and after the declaration of carbon neutrality, we can often encounter this kind of posters or magazine covers emphasizing how serious the climate crisis is. It's not just to stimulate your ethical awareness to pass the cleaners on to future generations or to protect nature. As can be seen from issues such as the carbon border tax or RE100 campaign, Green New Deal, ESG management, and recently the American Inflation Reduction Act, etc., the climate crisis has become everything related to global economy as well as politics. Then why am I going to talk about energy technologies today? Because the energy sector accounts for the largest share at 87% of greenhouse gas emission, followed by industrial processes, agriculture and waste, etc. According to the National Greenhouse Gas Inventory reports in Korea, the total amount of greenhouse gas emissions in 2018 was about 730 million tons. Since the use of fossil fuels, which account for more than 81% of greenhouse gas emissions in the energy sector, is the biggest cause, decarbonization of the energy sector is most important for carbon neutrality. However, as we all know, we have been living and building civilizations based on fossil fuels for 300 years after the Industrial Revolution. The world population has increased 8 times, GDP 120 times, and the primary energy 30 times. It means that carbon neutrality will be super difficult for us to realize, and it's possible only when we make a kind of energy revolution within the next 30 years. So many countries announced the timing of phasing out coal power plants. The phase out has already been completed in Belgium and Austria, and the major countries shown in the figure are setting the timing as well. Korea also announced at the COP last year that it would phase out coal power generation by 2050, but there are still many coal power plants for which no specific date has been set for their decommissioning. Actually, it's not that easy to decide because there are even new plants on the construction as well. But if you look at the energy-related status of Korea, over 90% of energy is imported at an annual cost of more than 150 trillion won. And similarly to the global figure, over 80% of it depends on fossil fuels. We either talk about energy, but energy is a very difficult and complex topic to properly understand. Imported energy comes from various countries in various forms, such as crude oil, LNG, coal, nuclear power, and so on. It's supplied as primary energy in various forms, such as petroleum products, gas, coal, as well as nuclear power and renewable energy. And this primary energy is converted into the form we consume, like the gas, heat, and electricity, losing a certain amount of energy and consumed as final energy for industrial, residential, and commercial facilities, transportation, and public purposes. If we look at how the final energy is consumed, excluding feedstocks and fuels used in industry, it's consisted of 25% electricity and about 75% heat. You can see here what kind of energy we are getting electricity and heat from as of 2020 in Korea. Most of both electricity and heat come from fossil fuels. Nuclear and renewable energy, which do not emit greenhouse gases in particular, has almost no contribution to the heat consumption, which accounts for 75%. According to the IEA net zero scenario, the proportion of fossil fuels currently over 80% will fall to 20% by 2050, and carbon-free energy such as renewable and nuclear energy will be used 80%. In particular, renewable energy will account for 2/3 of the total energy supply in 2050. Electricity consumption will be two to three times higher than that of the present. So the proportion of electricity will be more than 50%. In the power generation sector, solar power accounts for 33%, wind power 35%, and nuclear power does about 8%. Considering how much the energy sector is responsible for greenhouse gas emissions commented earlier, this figure broadly categorizes the fields of energy technology innovation required for carbon neutrality. It means energy systems must undergo considerable transformations. First of all, it is necessary to maximize use of carbon-free electric power sources that do not emit greenhouse gases, and to further electrify and integrate the energy system. The transportation sectors should use electric vehicles and clean fuels such as hydrogen and biomass. Energy efficiency should also be significantly improved, and further greenhouse gas reductions are required for industrial processes with unavoidable greenhouse gas emissions. The results of contemplation on energy technology innovation and application for carbon neutrality are similar all over the world. So the outlook and the prospects of both the IEA and the British Petroleum are similar, because it is necessary to produce maximum carbon-free energy and electrify the energy system. The current proportion of electricity from 20 to 25% must be increased to 50% or more, as mentioned before. Therefore, carbon-free electricity production is the most important and prioritized field for technology innovation. Carbon-free electricity can come from solar power, wind power, hydropower, marine energy, geothermal, fuel cells, nuclear power, bioenergy, thermal power, with carbon capture utilization and storage, etc. But in particular, renewable electricity, mainly solar and wind power, is expected to account for more than 80% of the 50% electricity share. Like the other major countries who submitted updated nationally determined contributions, so-called NDC, with a reduced total greenhouse gas emissions compared to their previous NDC as an intermediate goal, Korea also deliberated and confirmed the 2030 NDC with the 2050 carbon neutrality scenario in 2021 and submitted at the COP26. The target is to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 40% in 2030 compared to 2018. In the case of the industrial sector that emitted 36% of greenhouse gases, the lowest reduction target of 14.5% in 2030 was set because many energy consuming manufacturing sectors need time to mature their alternative technologies. But it is necessary to increase the proportion of renewable power to 30% by 2030 through rapid energy transition in order to meet the high reduction target of 44.4% in the power generation sector, which accounted for 37% of emissions. However, this was the scenario made last year. Then we have been faced with many unexpected difficult situations, such as the Ukraine crisis or regime change, etc. In Korea, a new government took office last May, and the Korean government recently announced the energy policy direction and made the 10th basic plan of long-term electricity supply and demand. Even though it changed to 21.5% from 30.2% renewable electricity target by 2030, I believe that efforts to be prioritized for the energy transition do not change much, because the share of renewable electricity in Korea is still only about 7%, and PV and wind should play a significant role in achieving the target. Korea's renewable energy electricity in 2020 is only 6.3% of the total electricity production, and 2021 was only 7.5%. So more aggressive technology development and dissemination is needed. For photovoltaic power generation, annual capacity has increased to be expected more than 4 gigawatt in 2021. So in total, it's about 20 gigawatt. And wind is worse. It's 2021 is 0.5% share. So anyway, it's slightly increasing, but it is significantly insufficient for the amount of renewable energy generation required for carbon neutrality by 2050. So in order to expand the renewable power capacity, it is necessary to secure not only the installation site and the public acceptance, but also the grid flexibility to accommodate the problems caused by the intermittent renewable power generation. Creating high quality jobs is also needed based on competitiveness in the domestic power industry. Therefore, technology innovation will be the key to solve all these problems. Of course, it's not only technology which is responsible for low share of renewable energy in Korea, but also policy and market. Although PV got a lot cheaper than before and the others, and it's the cheapest power source in many other countries, it is still more expensive than conventional power sources in Korea. Main reason is probably because the electricity price is too cheap compared to many other countries, including Germany, Japan, and even France. Even so, market prospects are telling that PV and wind will eventually get a lot cheaper in Korea as well. And key clean technologies ramping up by 2030 is definitely the solar PV and wind powers. So what we are focusing on here is the technology. The scenario predicts the electricity use in Korea in 2050 will be more than 2 times compared to in 2020, and renewable electricity share will be over 60%. We think about if the issues can be solved through technology innovations. The issues are like there are enough renewable resources, there are enough installation spaces. Can we handle the intermittent electricity, etc., etc.? Now let's see. Kia has a team called Renewable Resource Map Research Lab based on Korean satellite called Cheollean. We study resource distribution and potential by renewable energy source such as solar and wind power. Here's map has the world's highest accuracy and is used as national reference standards. It's a scientific reference standards for national energy plans such as Renewable 3020 or Renewable Energy Basic Plan in Korea, etc. We see more potential for offshore wind power in Korea based on technologies specialized in the offshore power industry, such as shipbuilding, offshore plants, and power infrastructures, despite of the low wind speed compared to the North Sea in Europe. Putting some data and assumptions and using wind resource map, we calculate or estimate over 240 terawatt hour power generation in 2050 based on wind power potential. The turbine size really matters for offshore wind power because the bigger the size, the more cost beneficial. Here's wind energy R&D team focuses on about 10 megawatt wind turbines, operation and maintenance technologies, and track records in cooperation with domestic companies such as Busan Heavy Industry and Unison, etc. For solar PV, it's better to know about this PV learning curve. The more the PV capacity increases, the lower the module price gets. The module price got 100 times cheaper than in 1980 now. So we can see the consequence here. If we look up the global PV industry trend of the annual cell production in country, China has more than 70% market share, and it is hard for Korea to have the price competitiveness. Moreover, the situation gets harder and harder in Korea because it is not only in China, but also in Vietnam, Malaysia, Thailand, and so on, where the solar cell factories are added year by year. So solar cell technology in Korea is to be directed for global competitiveness of industries, high power per installation area, and low manufacturing cost. For the PV, it is kind of unfair to compare with the other power sources because efficiency of the others is how much energy you get compared to the energy you put in when it's converted to electricity. But PV does not need anything else apart from sunlight. Under standard conditions, if the optimal amount of sunlight reaches the surface of 1 square meter can be fully used as energy, it's 1 kilowatt. Therefore, for example, if a 2 square meter panel produces 300 watt of power, it is 15%. And if it produces 400 watt, it's 20%. So it's very meaningful to produce more power in the same area. Commercial silicon PV module efficiency is about 20 to 23% at the moment, and as the world's highest efficiency of 26.7% for crystalline silicon solar cells was also achieved. It seems that the conversion efficiency limit of a single junction solar cell, which is less than 30%, is almost reached. Consequently, the tandem solar cell concept is proposed to overcome the efficiency limit of the single junction solar cell by maximizing the use of light by having multiple junctions with different energy absorption bands. Tandem technology using perovskite on top of silicon solar cells are vigorously being studied as a cost-competitive material-based structure. Since it has a theoretical efficiency of over 40%, a module of over 35% is expected to be realized in the very future. Remember that strategy for PV potential improvement in Korea is to develop high-efficiency solar cell technology that can produce higher power per unit area, because it can overcome the limitation of the installation area and innovatively improve the solar PV power potential. In general, the market potential of a renewable energy is related to economic feasibility, such as land cost by region. So the potential of large cities are not usually great. But in the case of buildings, the envelopes such as rooftop, wall, and windows can be used instead of land. So the solar power potential can be calculated or estimated without considering land cost in a large city. We can find out an additional solar power potential by doing so. Here is a 3D urban solar resource map developed by Kia. It's done about a district called Junggu in Seoul for building integrated PV, analyzing solar energy potential in a more detailed way. For example, if you want to install PV modules using buildings in your community, you can accurately predict the change in insolation that varies depending on the orientation of the building, the location of the walls, and the time, etc. So it's possible to reliably obtain information such as how much power can be generated from the BIPV installed, and how much area is required for the power generation you want. So we often say the panels are ugly to install on buildings. So aesthetics are also important for public acceptance. Pictures on the top is BIPV installed in Seoul, and the bottom in a small village in the UK. My Korean friend complained about how ugly the BIPV on the top picture is, but my British friend complained about why there is empty space left on the bottom picture, although the solar capacity factor in the UK is lower than in Korea, as it's often rainy and cloudy in the UK. Although it seems aesthetics comes from open minds, anyway, we are trying to overcome such antipathy as well using technologies. The development of multifunctional solar cells, such as lightweight, multicolored, and transparent solar cells, can contribute to overcome restrictions on installation type and location and to improve public acceptance. Agrovoltaics or floating solar PV are also important technology areas because location diversification is essential in Korea, where land area is very small. Building applied photovoltaics is the most promising option as it can contribute to the expansion of distributed power generation as well as PV dissemination. Based on the earlier mentioned technology innovation, let's suppose the 20% efficiency of a solar cell is replaced with 34% efficiency tandem cell. In that case, the area required to install a PV system of the same capacity is reduced from 2.9% to 1.7% of the land. It could potentially overcome the limitation of the installation area and improve the solar PV potential, generating more than 500 terawatt-hour electricity. Therefore, technology innovation in PV and wind power R&D, previously mentioned, can make over 60% renewable electricity share possible in 2050. Such BIPV technologies are applied to zero energy or zero carbon buildings with other related technologies such as insulations, high efficiency, and the other renewable technologies. Here we demonstrate a plus energy community platform based on such technologies. We designed a small community in Kia campus with 2 residential houses and 2 other non-residential buildings that can share electricity and heat each other. These residential houses have more than 140% energy self-sufficiency so that they can transfer the excess energy to the other buildings when they need. We keep running the community to learn the best practice on design, energy mix, operation, and demonstration, etc. And we can apply the well-developed products to real smarter cities such as Busan, EDC city, etc. But for bigger unit or the whole country, energy integrated infrastructure with the next generation power, gas, and thermal grids is needed because the intermittent renewable energy has to be mixed more and more into the existing energy system related to conventional power sources and fossil fuels, which cannot be stopped using at once. Moreover, if we mix more properly with wind and solar PV capacities, we can mitigate intermittency because the amount of electricity generated by time is different. And a smart energy integrated management is also essential based on a flexible power system using ESS such as battery and pumped storage hydropower, and sector coupling such as power to heat, power to grid, vehicle to grid, grid to vehicle, etc. in the right place at the right time. The balanced decarbonization of electricity, fuel, and heat will enable cost-effective energy system integration. To help that, Kia has been developing the renewable power forecasting platform using satellite data, earlier mentioned, AI, big data, numerical model, and so on. Integrating innovative technologies, including these already mentioned technologies, can greatly contribute to carbon neutrality realization. Because of the time limit, I only showed mainly renewable energy-oriented parts, but there are a lot more technology areas we need innovations. Of course, the transformation of the energy system from a fossil fuel-based society to an eco-friendly one is a challenge that can only be achieved when many aspects of society and the energy supply demand structure adopt a modern and integrative energy culture. But the energy technology innovation will surely play the most important role in achieving carbon neutrality, making sustainable green growth and new opportunities. Thank you very much. And if you have any questions, you can give me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ji Hye-kwa. It's quite a interesting presentation. And this is a presentation that we have to do in our future for our world. Okay. Again, please give a big applause to Dr. Ji Hye-kwa. And now, may I have attention for a token appreciation. I think this is a token appreciation by online from Pahasnan to Dr. Ji Hui Kwok that on behalf of, maybe Mr. Kim can come to the stage to get a token appreciation for on behalf of. This is appreciation, online appreciation. Maybe you can, maybe here, ya Pak ya. Kelihatan ya. Oh, terlalu itu ya. Take a appreciation, a plakat. Yes. On behalf of Dr. Jin Kwok. Oh, di situ? Oke, oke. Bisa di situ? Fotonya tapi di sini. This is for you, Dr. Jin Kwok. On behalf of Jin Kwok. You can ask Dr. Kim to get a token appreciation for you.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Maybe she did. I'm sorry, Dr. Hasnan. We have to get a token appreciation again with by online. The director of GTC. Maybe Mr. Kim can go up. Represent of the director of GTC. President. This is for you, Dr. Byung Ki Chong.
Thank you.
From Indonesia. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for all supports and hospitality. Yeah. Terima kasih. Thank you very much, Dr. Hasnan and Dr. Kim. Maybe we will continue the agenda without coffee break. If you want to take a break by yourself, you can take a break outside. Yeah, but we will continue the agenda in session 1. Yeah, without break, yeah, Pak. Yeah, but some people maybe can take a drink by him or herself. Okay, maybe we can start the next agenda. Session 1. Maybe we can go to welcome to Pak Abdul Holik as a moderator. This session 1 is a session about Korea policy strategy and best practice case for net zero society, and will be presented by Dr. Hyu-Sik Cho from Research Fellow Korea Environment Institute and Ms. Soo-Hyun Yu, Chief Researcher Association Korea. The time is yours, Pak Holik.
Hello. Can you hear me? I'm going to, can you see my slide?
Good morning. First, I would like to introduce you first, Dr. Yong-Sik Choi. First of all, I would like to introduce myself. I'm Muhammad Abdul Holik, Director of Environment, Maritime, Natural Resource, and Nuclear Policy under the BRIN, the National Research and Innovation Agency in Indonesia. So Mr. Nurko asked me to be a moderator today in the first session, and I would like to introduce the first presenter. Here's Dr. Hyung-Sik Choi from the research fellow from Korea Environment Institute. I just got the information he is made his doctorate at the Hamburg University, and I was the neighbor. I've studied in the neighbor university, the Hamburg University of Technology. So you have 15 minutes time for presentation, and we will have 10 minutes for discussion later on. Please, time is yours.
Thank you. Yes, I'm Hyung-Sik Choi. Thank you for inviting me to introduce Korea's NDC target and sectoral goals. And I briefly introduce my institution. KEI, we do research on environment policy to support mainly, the whole government, but we closely work with Ministry of Environment. And as we already heard from the plenary session, Korea's NDC was, enhanced recently, but I'll explain about the history of Korea's NDC. And it was initially developed in 2015 for UNFCCC Paris Agreement to limit global warming to well below 2 degrees and preferably to 1.5 degrees. And our initial goal was minus 37% reduction from the BAU. We used that policy setting long time ago, and there was many problems of using this BAU in NDC policy, but it was amended later on. And the new government in 2018 increased the domestic carbon reduction from 25% to 32%. Was quite significant changes in Korean NDC policy. And at that time, Korean government was passive in this NDC policy, but suddenly after global climate politics has changed significantly, during that time, because there was a school strike globally, and there was an IPCC 1.5 degree report was published. And then, so there was global race for global net zero pledges. So South Korean government also decided to amend the NDC again. And in 2020, there was a political pressure from all over the world, and we started reassessing NDC in 2020. And 2021, this NDC was updated, and the final NDC target is 40% reduction from the 2018 level. And then also BAU is not used anymore, and compared to 2018 level, it was an absolute level reduction rate. And still this number including carbon sinks and overseas mitigation, and the Carbon Neutrality Act also enacted in last year, September. And compared to other advanced countries, these are NDC mitigation numbers. Korea is 40%. It seems to be lower than developing countries because US NDC reduction rate is 50% and 46 or 65% is Germany. But when compared to 2018, our reduction is comparable to other countries as well, and still higher than Japan. And annual reduction rate from peak emission year in 2030. And then this means from 2005, USA slowly mitigate carbon emissions, and EU in total base year is 1990. And then reduction rate is very slow compared to Korea. Korea's NDC policy is very ambitious because reduction rates are 4% per year. And from 2018 to 2030, when you compare to other countries, our rates are comparable to other advanced countries and still higher than Japan. And I will explain about our sectoral target. And we have energy transformation is the mainly power sector, and industry and building and transport. These are main emissions sector. And the power sector mitigation is largest in 44%, and absolute amount is about 100 million ton. This is largest mitigation. And industry and transport are also second largest, and 37 million ton of CO2. And interesting point is the overseas reduction share has increased from previously was only 16 million ton, but this mitigation target is doubled in the new NDC plan. And so this amount of overseas mitigation is comparable to other transport and industry. And I will explain the power sector transportation in detail. So power mix in 2015 was coal and LNG was dominant, and also nuclear as well. Renewables were only 16.2%. And then in last year's NDC, our power sector transportation was ambitious, and we increased renewables to 30%. But this plan is subject to changes by our 10th electricity supply plan, and nuclear power generation share expected to increase to 32%. Renewables decrease from 30% to 21%. And this is the somehow interim plan, and this will be confirmed by end of this year. There are many issues also in this power sector transformation is the rising electricity bills, also due to energy crisis, current energy crisis. So S&P price is very high right now, and also additional energy transition cost from renewables. This will be burden for the government and also Korean industry and also consumers, and also REC market reforming, and also RE100 issues for industry. And there are many things to tackle in also South Korea. So industry sector emit also 260 million ton of CO2 is quite large, the largest sector in Korea. We mitigate only 14% of emissions. And steel making and also oil and chemicals and cement are largest source of emission in industry. And oil and chemicals reductions are 20%. It's the largest. Mainly we do fuel switching from fossil-based to naphtha and bio-naphtha, and from heavy oil to bio oil. And but plastic waste recycling is one of the important measures to reduce emission in oil and chemical sectors. And this is the quite important strategy in industry carbon mitigation. And also cement as well. We have to reduce, we increase recycling rate increase recycling. We use waste as fuel in cement industry, and we replace fossil fuels in cement industry. And in industry, circular economy is the cost-effective options for mitigation in industry. So this is main important strategy. And other policy measures also R&D and hydrogen source supply, and so clean energy supply, also subsidy for new capacity investment, also they are also important. Building sector is 30% about reductions, and the main policy measures are building energy efficiency, so mainly zero energy buildings. So new buildings, energy efficiency target will be much higher than previous one. Also green renovation or green remodeling, and so old buildings energy efficiency should be improved. And this is main policy measures. And also designing these green renovation incentives to participants are very important. And also decarbonizing heat sector also is very important. And renewable summer energy supply, solar underground heat, and also our electric heat pump are important, but not well recognized as policy issue in Korea as well, and in other countries as well. The transportation sector mitigation rate is 37%, and clean car deployment is a basic policy measure. We plan to deploy about 40.5 million sales of electric cars and hydrogen cars. And electric car sales will be main measures, but hydrogen car will be deployed much less than expected. This is the export outlook on this transportation. The issues are rising budget expenditure for electric car subsidies, and tax revenue decrease from transportation because people use less gasoline. That's the problem, and we have to modify tax rate between these two between electric cars and internal combustion cars. Yes. And so agriculture and livestock fishery sector, so mitigation target is 27%. There are many options, but I want to introduce about manual processing for energy, and this is an important problem in South Korea. So South Korea government is preparing new plan to use manure as an energy source or material source. And waste sector, this is also important for industry and also the consumers' consumption. So reducing waste and increasing recycling rate are main policy to reduce emission, and also support industries mitigation through waste recycling and reducing emission. And hydrogen emission will increase because until 2030, hydrogen will be produced from fossil fuel. This is interim emission numbers. And carbon sink, also important to achieve also net zero, and so NDC target and sustainable forest management is main strategy. CCUS, carbon capture and utilization. CCU is kind of long-term goal until 2030. Mainly, this mitigation will be achieved by CCS. So, Korean government is trying to secure storage site by 100 million tons CO2 around Korean Peninsula. And
You have
overseas
2 minutes time, sir.
Okay, so overseas mitigation is important. And also there are many experts here have interest in this overseas mitigation. And we all prepare this law and governance, carbon neutrality commission, and also sectoral strategy. And this is annual mitigation plan and annual budget. We are working on to devise this annual plan. Also market mechanism should be further improved, and budget should be increased. And these are policy pillars to achieve NDC in South Korea. And Korea, finally, this is my last slide, prepared law, plan, budget, and market mechanism, and many other things. And the role of government is important, also private sector's participation. They are both important. And this NDC plan should be top priority in national plans. Otherwise, these old plans strategy will be less effective. And also micro details are more important in each sector to reach the goals. Yeah, that's my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Nice presentation. And we come to the next presenter. She is Ms. So Hyun Yu from the Indonesian Korea. He is chief researcher there, and she would like to present National Carbon Neutrality Action Plan of South Korea. Please, you have 15 minutes time. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much for inviting me to this valuable forums. Yeah, my name is Hyun Yu from Mitigation, and I will present about national carbon neutrality action policies and plans of South Korea. And before starting the presentation, I'm going to briefly introduce Mitigation. Mitigation is the #1 consulting agency in South Korea, specialized in environment and climate change. We cover all sectors of climate change, international cooperation and development, policy research and development, sustainability and ESG strategies, material strategies. We also have IT solutions like ETF and emission trading management system or building energy management system and so on. And we also do carbon asset management strategies. Okay, now I'm gonna go through national greenhouse gas emissions of South Korea. The total emissions with our LULUCF stood at 701.4 million ton in 2019, and the emissions with LULUCF was 661.8 million in 2019, which is slightly decreased from 2018. And as you already know, Korea is the country of manufacturing. So manufacturing is the mainstay of Korean economy, which means that the emissions from energy sector takes up the biggest portion, and we should reduce energy consumption and emissions from this sector. So yeah, previously, Dr. Choi already explained about NDC target by 2013. So yeah, as you already heard, that South Korea announced the updated NDC target last December, and the government will increase the reduction of emissions by 19.5 million ton. And I think this is pretty challenging goal. And okay, we have a lot of mitigation policies, and in terms of law and institutions, framework law and action on low carbon green growth, emission trading scheme, and GHG target management system are major mitigation policies. I heard that Indonesia will adopt emission trading system soon, and you already we already operated the pilot emission trading system among power sector. And Korea has already finished first and second Korean ETS. And we are now on the third phases. So I think we have a lot of lessons and experience from the previous experience. So I think Korea can share the knowledge and experience and lessons from the ETS with Indonesia. And also we have GHG target management system. The target management system was introduced in 2010. This is a direct regulation program managing the emissions from the small and medium-sized enterprises, which are not covered by the KETS. You can see the graph. This is the carbon price trend of KETS. The price peaked almost 40,000 won in 2000 the January of 2020, and now the price is going down. And the energy, and now I'm going to explain about energy sectors mitigation actions. Yeah. Initially, the government, the last government has the plan to increase the portion of renewable energy, but the president supports nuclear power to reach green goals. Nuclear power generation is expected to reach 201 terawatts, with renewable energy taking up less portion by 2030. So the last September, the 10th power supply plan the draft version of 10th power supply plan was released, which includes the increase of the portion of nuclear energy. Yeah, so you can see that you can compare the previous energy mix in 2030 and current energy mix in 2030. Yeah, and planning for NDC implementation by 2030, they will increase in electricity generating capacity 23.3 gigawatt in 2021 to 28.9 gigawatt in 2030. And also they will close 26 coal power plants and convert them into natural gas fired ones, and also will build 5 new natural gas fired plants. Also, they will also, alongside with increasing the renewable energy, they also will increase the efficiency of solar and wind powers. As you already know, the O&M is also important, as well as installation of the renewable energies, because after installation of solar power, sometimes they don't managing the plants at all. They don't manage the solar panels, so the energy efficiency should hugely decrease after installation. So O&M is also important, and also expand the residential renewable energy programs. And also the Korean government will adopt carbon-free technologies, like introducing ammonia combustion technology and hydrogen power generation. And industry, yeah, kind of first and foremost, we need to achieve low carbon transition in energy intensive industry. So there are 3 things. The first one is facilitating the industry sector's transition to a high value added structure by combining ICT to the existing industries, because Korea has strength in ICT. And second one is using regulatory measures in combination with incentives to improve energy efficiencies. So when the company adopt energy efficient facilities, the government provide subsidies about 40% over 40% of the 40% over something, yeah. And also the third one is strengthening policies and technology developments for reusing wastes as resources. So there are, resources. And so mainly steel and petrochemical and cement industry is the emitter, they emit a lot. And yeah, and in terms of building, the government plans to use a combination of regulatory measures and incentives in two-track approaches for newly built buildings and old buildings. So new public and private buildings should meet the standards of zero energy building from 2030. So there are three criteria for zero energy building. First one is meeting obtaining the building energy efficiency ratings. The second one is generating energies on by own. So they should use renewable energies. And third one is installation of building energy management system. So they can control their energy consumption with the ICT-based management system. They can turn on and off the switches of the rooms or something like that. And also to all the buildings, the green retrofitting incentives, green retrofit solutions can be eligible. Yeah, so kind of the government provide they provide some tax incentives to all the building owners when they adopt green retrofitting solutions. Okay. And with regards to transportation, government has 5 solutions. One is promoting the use of public transportation. We already have a very good public transportation system, but they will improve it better. And second one is expand the shared mobility. And third one is building systems for traffic demand management and intelligent transportation. First one is reducing energy consumption by promoting commercial use of self-driving vehicle. And fifth one is promoting the modal shift from road to rail or shifting. And the modal shift is expected to take place from existing petroleum-based transportation system into eco-friendly vehicles. And we can some significant numbers regarding to electronic vehicles. Every country has a plan to expand their own electric vehicles, and South Korea has the same plan, and also they will expand the charging stations too. And also marine and navigation sector will be marine and navigation sector. They will introduce eco-friendly vessels and increase the ship operational efficiencies. Yeah. And in relation to agriculture, the government plans two things. One is ICT enabled smart farming, and second one is deploying low carbon farming practices and replace fossil fuels. So they will improve irrigation management system and use less nitrogen fertilizers, and also increase soil carbon storage capacity via biochar application. Also, they will have a special cattle management solution. They will reduce nitrogen in mature with low protein diet for swine and beef cattle, and also expand the livestock manure treatment and biogas productions. And also they will increase energy efficiencies. They will adapt energy efficiency product like energy. They will like hydrogen, electric powered farm equipment, and also replacement of all the equipment for fishing boats. And with the set, okay.
Last minute.
Oh, okay. It's okay. I'm gonna go up to the conclusion. The Korean government strategy outlines the following 5 key elements that will guide Korea's policymaking, social transformation, and technological innovations for its green transition. The first one is expanding the use of clean power and hydrogen across all sectors. Second one is improving energy efficiency to a significant level. Third one is commercial deployment of carbon removal and other future technologies. Fourth one is scaling up the circular economy to improve industrial sustainability. And fifth one is enhancing carbon sinks. I think it's pretty difficult to achieve the NDC target by 2030, but every sector will try to get achieved in their own position. I think it's not only dream. I think it will be achievable. Okay, thank you for listening my presentation. And if you have any question, please feel free to ask. Thank you.
Please big applause for Ms. So Hyung Yu. Thank you very much for the comprehensive presentation. We have still time, about 10 minutes or less for question and answer. Please raise your hand if you have question. No question? Everything clear? From the Zoom room, maybe someone would like to ask? Oh, please.
I would like to make a question to Ms. Yu. I am Tokyo Bok from KOTRA. Actually, this is not directly related with your presentation, but as I remember, you visited Indonesia before to do the research about transaction possibility for carbon reduction. So could you share the result of the research at this time?
Okay. Last June, I visited Indonesia, and we have met several government officials and researchers to invest Indonesia's MRV system and NDC policies and something like that. So still Indonesia is hold, as far as I understand, still Indonesia has holds their issuance of carbon credits, and also they are not allowed to issue the carbon credit from renewable energy. I mean, the renewable energy is by the PNL. Still, they stick the as far as I know, they still stick to the policy. And yes, so we, yeah, that's the, so in terms of it the trend in terms of ITMO, we understand that facts. And in terms of in Indonesia's MRV system, we found that among the Southeast Asian country, Indonesia has detailed and they had detailed MRV systems. So there is no problem. I think there is no problem with, for instance, kind of there's no problem of corresponding of ITMOs, I think. Is it clear?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Next question, possibly. If not, I think we can come to the next session. It's okay, Dr. Kim? No. Okay. Yes. Okay. Yeah. No other questions. So maybe last word from you, Ms. So Yeonju or Mr. Yong-sik Chae, please.
I have one question, if I
Oh.
may. Yes.
Okay, one question, please.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. My name is Pamela Simamora. I'm working for New Energy Nexus. New Energy Nexus is an ecosystem builder of clean energy startups in Indonesia and also around the world. My question to the presenters, how does Korea see the importance of involving clean energy startups in its efforts to achieve net zero target? And the second one, I think, how does your government support these clean energy startups in your country? Thank you.
Yes, please. There was question two.
I can answer simply, and also you Suyan, you can answer next to me. Yeah, it's a clean energy startup is important in energy transition, and also there are large amount of financial investment for startups in South Korea. But the problem is energy market is kind of strongly regulated by the government. So startups find it difficult to make innovation in this energy market, but the government is aware of this problem, and government is planning to change market regulation and also opening up the market for startups. It's a well-known fact. So we are looking forward to the policy reform in sooner or later. That's my answer.
In South Korea, the importance of cooperation between major companies and startups are increasing now. So So this trend, I'm gonna share some examples, like the Korean gas corp. I cannot sure the English title. The Korean gas company is the governmental owned Korean gas company started to, they have a program for supporting Green New Deal startups. So the Green New Deal startups, selected Green New Deal startups can be provide some mentoring service and financial support or something like that. So this is for establishing green energy ecosystem. So Korea has this kind of project. Also, they have some competition for tech open, like to develop the kind of innovative technologies or ideas from startups. So when they are selected as when their ideas are selected, they will get prizes like not 10 million, not 9 million. They get prizes, and also the Korean government will support their R&D system, something like that. So I can say Korea has a lot of different kinds of supporting system for startup.
Okay, thank you very much for Ms. Soo-hyun Yu and Dr. Young-sik Choi. Big applause for both presenter, please. And I give back to the Mr. Ceremony. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Abdul Khalik. Thank you for all speakers. Thank you. Dr. Hyuk-sik Choi dan Soo-hyun Yu. I'm sorry if I'm mistaken for spelling. Next agenda is a session 2, discussing about Indonesian policy and strategy for low carbon development. And for that, we would like to invite Dr. Vivi Yulaswati, Deputy Chairman of Ministry of National Development Planning, and Dr. Mego Pinandito, Deputy Chairman of National Research and Innovation Agency. And this session will be led by Dr. Shartini Lia from IPB, Agricultural University, as a moderator. The time is yours. Dr. Okay. Just remind for the time, Dr. Shartini is 40 minutes starting from now. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for the MC. So good morning, everyone. I will be a moderator for this session. So I'm Shartini from IPB University. I'm very happy to be joined in this meeting. And for the second session, we have two presenters. It's already on the stage. The first presenter, Dr. Vivi Yulaswati. Now she is engaged to the Ministry of National Development Planning, Bappenas, as Deputy Minister for Maritime and Natural Resources. And she was graduated for PhD from the University of Southern California, USA in 2004. And now she's a position as a Deputy for Maritime and Natural Resources. And Dr. Vivi will share to us about the Indonesian policy and strategy for low carbon development and climate resilience towards net zero emissions. So Dr. Vivi, you have 15 minutes for to present your work. So it's time is yours. Okay.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. Very good morning. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Excellency, Pak Mego, Deputy from BRIN, and also all the colleagues from BRIN, also colleagues from the Korean government, and also from the Green Technology Centers, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a pleasure for me to be part of this event. I do appreciate to this National Research and Innovation Agency, or BRIN, and also the Green Technology Center of South Korea for hosting this event. Today, I think, please just go to the next slide, please. As you aware that today, actually, we face already the triple planetary crisis, the climate change, pollutions, as well as the biodiversity. Especially for Indonesia, biodiversity loss is actually endangered many flora, fauna in Indonesia, and actually they are very potential for our future food, as well as the health. So according to the IPCC, yes, it is estimated that the climate change could expose around 50 to 75% of the world population to life-threatening catastrophes, posing from the high rise of temperature, frequent extreme disaster, increased pollutions, particularly the air pollution, and also it's lead to the cause for the disease as well as the premature death, accounting for up until 4.2 million deaths per year. This is according to the IPCC. The biodiversity loss adversely threatening human well-being and ecological services, affecting health, food security, and even political conflict. So this emerging planetary crisis, particularly amid the the COVID-19 recovery, is bring significant impact for the growth, our economic growth, human development, like the poverty increase and equality. And it means that our development targets, mainly achieving the SDGs, is consequently under threat. So next slide, please. In addressing climate change, Indonesia has developed a set of integrated platforms known as a Low Carbon Development Initiative and the Climate Resilience Policies. These policies deals such key sectors as energy, land, health, and agriculture. Moreover, through our waste and pollution management program, we aim to tackle challenges in water, air, solid, and hazardous pollutions. We are also exploring our slow onset disaster risk reduction program. In terms of biodiversity, Bappenas has established the Indonesian's Biodiversity Strategic and Action Plan, or IPSAP, with the goal of promoting sustainable and halting biodiversity loss. The strategic actions are part of the missions of Indonesian Green Economy Strategy within the economic transformation, which is intended to lead Indonesia to achieve the SDGs on time, as well as achieving Indonesian vision in 2045, in which by 2045, we aim to be part of the developed country or high income country, as well as achieving Paris declarations in net zero emissions. So what is the economic transformation and strategy? The transformation actually consists of the 6 game changers we would like to see here to boost the growth of Indonesia to be a high income country in 2045. Before COVID, it was estimated that we could grow by 5.7% annually, but later on, after the COVID, is not enough. We need to grow at least 6.5%, meaning we need to find other source of growth, which is one of it is moving the capital city in Kalimantan in order to be a source of growth for eastern part. And also we are exploring the green economy as well as the blue economy as a potential of the growth. In blue economy, for example, we have so many potential, but for sure there are many challenges to exploring our maritime and oceans sources. That's also including the algae biomass, for example, and also for sure the food from oceans that could be part of food of source in the future. So it's also digital transformation as an enabler, and the connectivity as also part of the strategy in addition to the human capital, competitiveness, and the productivities, mainly in industry, SMEs, as well as on the farm modernizations. So both low carbon development and climate resilience policies have been embedded as a national priority within our current development agenda in the midterm development plan 2020-2024. It is actually aligned with the mandate of the Article 3.4 UNFCCC. Through our low carbon development policies, our green economy is built around the 5 strategy: sustainable energy, waste management and circular economy, green industry, the blue carbon in coastal and marine, and sustainable land use. As we are now preparing the RPJMN, the next RPJMN 2025-2029, and our next RPJP, the long-term development plan up until 2045, Bappenas has conducted some simulations. Like I mentioned earlier, if we want to grow up until 7%, how much percentage it would be contributed by industries, the modernizations in farming, as well as in other sectors like in infrastructure and also in urban. Of course, we have to ensure that it needs to be green industry. Simulations in the energy sector, for example, includes how to deploy renewable energy and its efficiency, and electric vehicle utilizations. In waste sector, the government of Indonesia has encountered that waste management reformation propositions through the integrated management from upstream to downstream and sustainable wastewater management. A platform of solid waste management, or SWM, retribution calculator system, has also been recently established to reform the waste management system. This is particularly in applying in several cities. And as for circular economy, we have so far promoted resource efficiency along the value chain and approach implementation on 9R principles. To this, Bappenas has conducted some study related to the circular economy, as well as food loss and waste issues, and provided capacity building from both public and private sectors. So working with some development partners, now we have at least 7 provinces, more coming numbers of provinces, to applying the low carbon development initiatives, starting aligning into their local regional planning, and develop their local low carbon development strategies. And now we still move on to work together with the development partners to continue expanding the pilots in the LCDI as well as in the implementations. Moving along to the green industry, next slide please. The government of Indonesia has established regulations and enabling instrument to enforce sustainability practices through green industry certification, sustainability report, which currently I think is around 180 or more industries that already developed the sustainability reports, and company performance rating in environment management or proper. Companies that adhere to green industry principles by ensuring the efficiency and effective use of source in manufacture processing are eligible for this certification. In blue carbon sector, we have set several policies in mangrove and coastal ecosystem conservation, part of it including in 7 pilot of LCDI's provinces. Also in the rehabilitation of ecological restoration. So the government also issued the MPA vision policy, the marine protected areas, for securing 32.5 million hectares of Indonesia's water as MPA. In terms of sustainable land restorations, the government has assessed key policy recommendations of FOLU, the forest and land use sectors, including the land rehabilitation, reforestation, forest fire preventions and mitigation, sustainable agriculture practices, and many more. Currently, Bappenas, with support with development partners, has developed a national strategy for wetland management, the peat and mangrove ecosystem, which serve as a basis for formulating policy strategies for managing peat and mangrove ecosystems that will be launched soon this year. On the next slide, in the climate resilience front, in 2021, we have conducted a study of climate hazard for such sectors as marine and coastal, water, agriculture, and health, as these sectors contributed significantly in our GDP. The study also resulted map of districts or cities that potentially harm due to the climate change up to 2045. So we welcome all of you to work together, working directly in strategic manner with many locales, and also particularly contributing to our net zero emission targets, working with the priority locations. Based on these studies, the economic loss due to the climate change will reach around 545 trillion in 2024. So plan actions through the climate resilience development really could help us to avoid the loss around 545. Based on our RPJMN, we could actually cut down the loss until 51.7% by working together. In the implementing of green economy with the low carbon development and climate resilience as the backbone, Bappenas also has launched just last August the Green Economic Index. This is along the line with the G20 Development Working Group in Bali. The GEI, the Green Economic Index, actually is introduced to help us as an instrument or tool to track Indonesia's progress toward green economy. The index comprises of the 15 indicators of economic, environment, and social pillars, so it's aligned with the SDGs indicators that are representative, tangible, and accurate, and measured by the methodology that also used by other countries. So the GI findings shows that Indonesia GI composite scores increased over 10-year period, rising from 47.2 in 2011 to 59.17 in 2020. It is a good sign. So we have very optimistic that we could right on track toward the development of Indonesia's green economy as well as on the net zero emission carbon. Next slide, please. So according to our simulations, achieving a green economy with low carbon and climate resilience will provide multiple benefits. In addition to the benefit of reducing the greenhouse gas emissions in line with the Paris Declaration target, shifting to a green economy can have other advantage, including deliver a higher GDP growth up to 6.5% per year until 2050, and create 1.8 millions up until 2.2 millions additional green jobs in 2030. Also, shifting to a green economy will enable Indonesia to reach net zero emissions by 2060 or sooner, as committed by the presidents. Next slide, please. So Bappenas has backed Indonesia's commitment to achieve the NZE by conducting exercise of scenarios to an evidence-based approach that promotes a holistic and integrative methods. We explored low carbon development and climate resilience policy scenarios in achieving NZE in 3 different timelines. I would say like 3 milestones, 2045, 2050, and also 2060. To this ends, we also have created the Ganapati Platform. It's a platform that allows users to simulate low carbon policy scenarios across key sectors of like the AVOLU, the energy, the waste, and industry in order to achieve the net zero emissions. For instance, in achieving the NZE in 2060, Indonesia needs to strengthen its land restoration policies in terms of conducting 50,000 hectares reforestation annually. Also, that's involved with the peatland restorations, mangrove rehabilitation, and also preventing the deforestation from forest to agriculture land. To explore further the NZE scenario, you may access the Ganapati platform. I think we have the link here. So nevertheless, that the challenges we face today mainly take from a high investment needs. This is particularly for Indonesia. 3 main challenges is the high investment, technology, and innovation gap, and also shifting from the brown to the or migrate toward the green job. So this is one more thing is we also have the risk of stranded asset. So despite having more than enough resources, Indonesia is unable to fully utilize them due to a technological and innovation gap, particularly given the absence of local green technology industry and also in R&D. So I think I do appreciate with this event in which we could open up a discussions about how to tackle these challenges, particularly to work together in investment, technology, as well as in a transition toward a green job. We urge that addressing the urgency to establish a green technology ecosystem in Indonesia, we have to include also a strong supply chain, product development, business operation, and standardizations for local green technology and innovations that are adjusted based on supply and demand. As the initial step, Indonesia needs to create a framework for local green technology development, mapping a green economic digitalization, and most importantly, conduct green technology need assessment. Particularly for Indonesia and South Korea, we can work together on developing a proper technology and knowledge transfer program for low carbon development and also climate resilience. This includes technology and innovation for resource efficiencies to support the circular economy, emission reductions, and renewable energy related technologies such as renewable energy storage system and electrolyzer for green hydrogens and many more. I think we have more examples from the previous Korean colleagues speakers. In order to achieve the green economy goals toward the net zero emissions, three most significant co-creation efforts and collaborations can be done. As demonstrated by the pentahelix approach, the government, businesses, academia, media, and community play a strategic roles and shall work together to product robust research, innovations, and invention to address our current development challenges. Collaboration in developing technology and innovations must be strengthened and prioritized, supported by workforce training programs and funding schemes for the operational and maintenance costs. In this regard, cooperation between Indonesia and South Korea is crucial, particularly through the Net Zero Joint Response Climate Technology Cooperations, to focus on closing the innovations and technology gap and building the right ecosystem for green economy, not only Indonesia and South Korea, but also at least throughout Asia. Just a reminder that Indonesia will lead a presidency of ASEAN, so we do hope that we could lead many discussions to open up these opportunities. Finally, I would like to invite all of you to join and coordinate into Indonesia's climate actions with a solid foundation in research and innovations. Through this Net Zero Forum 2022 event, I do hope that we can share the constructive ideas and input in accelerating green technology development to realize net zero future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Vivi. Okay, everyone, let's move to the next presenter. Here with us, Dr. Mego Pinandito. He's the Deputy Chairman of Development Policy, National Research and Innovation Agency. He's graduated from Shinshu University of Japan for the doctor degree. And okay, at this time, he will share to us about the research and innovation policy and strategy for low carbon technology and development. So Dr. Mego, yeah, 15 minutes, yeah, time is yours. Yeah.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Selamat pagi semuanya. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, I would like to deliver my thanks to the organizing committee, the Indonesia-Korea Net Zero Climate Technology Cooperation Forum 2022. Of course, we would like also to share the Indonesian policy, especially with the research and innovation policy and strategy for the low carbon technology development in Indonesia. Thank you, Ibu. I think that if you look at the first slide, this shows that our president give the direction regarding to the what we would like to do with the energy sector and how to promote the environmentally energy source. That is including the mitigation actions regarding to the different things of the fuel subsidized budget to the productive activities. That is including the research and innovation and the infrastructure and of course other sector related to the energy. The other thing is the second one, 23% of the renewable energy of the total national primary energy mix by 2025, but even it will be more stronger in the target. And how about to change the waste into the energy?
And if you look at the global agreement, like a Paris Agreement, and also the energy sector commitment from the global, we think that Indonesia, as the one of the member of the global, should follow all of the commitment, as Ibu Vivi described before, regarding to the what is the government set commitment, for example, to the emission of reduction in the 2030, for example, for energy sectors, forests and other land use sectors, and also the waste sector. It should be like values. And again, regarding to the planning, it is not can be achieved only 1 or 2 or 3 years, including the long-term strategy. We need to set the national determined processing and also the contributing. That is including the, for example, the general target, and of course, finally with the sector target, agriculture, forestry, energy, waste, and also next please. It's too small, but again, this is just for the how the Indonesian national planning and also the commitment to the global strategy plannings are followed. We need the next. This is the national policy and regulated framework supporting the climate change mitigation and adaptations. There is, for example, several sectors under the ministries are also get together to support the national activity and planning, as from Bappenas, Ibu Vivi said about the planning to achieve the global target as national target. Next. Yeah, this just the models for the emission pathway in Indonesia regarding to how the economic population growth and customers' behavior, lifestyle in Indonesian are also give some impacts to the carbon emission itself. For example, in the production, consumptions, and export, import, and land use, and of course by using the energy like power supply, energy price, and energy consumption also. And please do not forget to realize that even we use the technology in advance, but it is still affected in good or efficient by the social behavior. So it is we cannot forget the social behavior as the one of the national strategy to get and achieve the national target. Next, please. So regarding to the several sectors like energy sector, waste sector, agriculture, forestry, and other land use like AFOLU, and the industrial processing and the product use, IPPU, I think several strategy has been set by each sector, and you can see here, and I don't want to read all, but again, it is focused on the power sectors and also to minimize the energy demand without sacrificing the people. It is very important, and how to make more and more and developing the bio source, biofuel, and any other shape of the energy coming from the biodiversity. Regarding to the waste sector, it is a need to look at how the solid waste management system in the city and also in the regional can be set more and more in the effective and efficient ways. And of course, with the agriculture, forestry, and other land uses, and also the industrial processes and product use,
we have to look at for example, the big consumption of energy like cements and also fertilizers can make also use the what we call the very clean technology or advanced clean technology in the future. Next, please. Just this just to see the planning of the low carbon development in such sector, like using the coal resources, not just use as the coal, but change into the other more efficient and effective energies sources, and also how to migration the mining or the few energy manpower to the green job, as described before by PV, and of course with the waste, agriculture, forestry, and also other land uses and industrial processes and product use. Regarding to the long term on the low carbon and also the climate resilience, Indonesia set more and more in toward the what we call very high value in goals with the ambitious action to address the climate change challenges, not only through the deeper or the green gas emission reduction toward the net zero emission, but also through the element of the climate resilience pathway along the commitment of the national program. Next, please. And of course, as the one, okay, I will jump into the next. Next, please. Again. Yeah, just this is the mitigation coming for the forestry, for example. And next, with the forestry and other land use. Please forward. Next. Yeah, this is, for example, in reducing the emission for the deforestation and also the forest degradation in such area in Indonesia, increasing the carbon sequestration capacity in the natural forest, and increasing the carbon sequestration and land use, reducing the emission from the fires and also peat decomposition. And the important thing is also including the law enforcement and boosting the agriculture productivity and also reducing the food loss and waste. This is also the, I think, the recent issue that we faced and try to get more alternative solution for it. And next. Next, please. Again, please. Yes, please. I would like to explain about the BRIN role, the Research and Innovation Agency, the role in accelerating the low carbon development. Next, to support the collaboration on the research and innovation on the clean energy transition toward the net zero emission 2060 or sooner in the international participant. I think this is very important. In this event, I'd like to welcome all of the collaboration, international collaboration from the Korea, especially. And of course, we open for the other partner. Please, next. Next. Yes. And of course, the strengthening the capacity building, research exchange, and also the research funding scheme by explore and expand the match funding coming from the BRIN. It is also possible. And to utilize the research infrastructure, we are open the laboratories, the facilities for the research in green to use together with the universities, students, and also with our partners from the industry, and accelerating the research and innovation, for example, on the bio and green blue circle economic with the new renewable energy, bioenergy, hydrogen, and photovoltaic, and so on the carbon reduction technology by the bioenergy and bioproduct, carbon capture storage, advanced material for the batteries, and of course with the implementation of life cycle inventory or assessment. And finally, with the applying the science-based policy, providing the science-based policy recommendation, for example, for the circular economy, social ecological system resilience, and also the green job, and so on. I think next slide is just show one example when we look at the clean energy transition. For example, we started for the materials, the coal industries, gasification, and how to use the brown coal, for example, into the another high value added energy. We can look at the right side, the brain focusing on research, for example, for biomass waste, the gasification of biomass, advanced material for the hydrogen storage, a new catalyst, electrolyzers, and also the carbon captures, coal for the carbon and graphene materials, and including the nuclear and also smart microgrids. And next, next, please. Yeah, this is, I would like to welcome that the national development policy on the electric vehicles by all stakeholders. We cannot going with this successfully the development of the technology by only one. We invite almost all of the ministries and also the parties, for example, the industries, users, and also the university to come out and also to bring into the one ecosystem of research and innovation for the electric vehicles. And next slide will show, next please, the ecosystem of the electric vehicle itself. We started, for example, from the traction motors, the batteries, technology, the charging infrastructure that is including the fast charging and so on, and bring it into the battery recycling, battery second life, and also finally with the electric vehicle community or clubs. It took several years, but we know that the application of the electric vehicles cannot be success if we do only the one or two parties. It shows that even with the other technology under the Indonesian and Korea Technology Cooperation Forum, we understand that we have to get together with several ministries and also the other parties. I think because of time, I would like to get to this is the Indonesian the BRIN, the National Research and Innovation Agency. The situation just we are the merge of the almost the Research and Innovation Agency, and also we have some strategy and program scheme to develop more and more in the increasing of the ecosystem research and innovation. Next, please. Next. Okay, with the organization almost, please back. Yeah, at BRIN regarding to the research and innovation, for example, for the electric vehicle and the other research activity, it is very important to get more and more collaboration within BRIN. It means that research organization, for example, with the Earth and Maritimes, the agriculture and feed, also food, and of course with the energy and manufacture, nanotechnology and materials, government, economic and public, well, and also the electric and informatics are also involved in the, for example, the electric vehicle development program. It showed that we cannot use only one research center, for example, but we have invite and involve almost the related research center at BRIN. And of course, we open and invite for example, from industries, from the universities, and of course, from the society. Some of the people who are doing not affiliated with university and the industry are also very well in the innovation. I think next, please. This is next. That is the target. Okay, next. The next slide will show the strengthening of the science-based policy that sometimes we need to get support from the government. And the next one is the supporting of the strengthening the ecosystem for research and innovation. As before, there is some startup coming to this event. So we are also open for the new startup, for example, for the such kind of the technology by doing together and collaborated with BRIN and some private companies, industries, society, and with, of course, with the global engagement and academy and with the foreign university. Next, please. The regulation are also have been suggesting and also set to support the ecosystem of research and innovation. And the next slide will also show the program for the researcher mobility that we are also possible to invite, for example, the professor from the Korean university to come with the fellow scholarship to come to Indonesia to do research together at BRIN and of course together with Indonesian university. And this is the open research infrastructure that almost all of the infrastructure, laboratory, and other facility at BRIN are welcome to be used and to be utilized by the research group. I think jump to the conclusion. I think the building, the ownership, and also the commitment among the ministry and also the government institution, sub-national government, and also private sector, civil society, and of course the financial institution are very important. And the capacity building to enhance the capacity institution and human resources at the level, almost all at the level, and creating the enable environment are to engage the wide stakeholder are very important. I think finally, okay. I would like to say again, thank you very much for the cooperation between Korea and Indonesia. Hopefully, it is not only with the energy sector, but another sector, for example, the the waste sector, and also doing research. It is not with BRIN, but of course it is open again to welcome the Indonesian university and also the private sector, and of course with the society who are interested in this technology. Then hopefully it can be make some acceleration into the application of the technology into the daily life. I think that's all. I would like to again appreciate and thank you very much for this opportunity. Hopefully we can discuss more in detail about the project and also the strategy to get the project be successfully in the future. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Dr. Romego. So the audience, we have a Q&A session. So from the two presenters here, I think we have so many important information regarding the topic for today's meetings. So I would like to invite all of you in this room, if there is any question, comments, yeah, and for the Zoom room also. Okay, Bapak first. Okay, from the others, any comment? Okay, okay, Bapak, it's time is yours.
Thank you.
Yeah.
To Pak Mego, my name is Jaya Wahono from Kadin. You mentioned about the
Okay, Bapak first.
Jaya Wahono.
Okay.
Yeah.
From the others, any comment? Okay. Okay,
My
Bapak,
question
it's,
to Pak Mego
time is yours.
regarding your statement about the mitigation in FOLU sector and energy sector. As we understand, there's a gap of funding that need to be coming from private sector. FOLU sector is around 7.5 billion and energy sector is around 232 billion. So totaling 240 billion by 2030. So in your opinion, how we can attract this private funding to close this gap? Because from our point of view, in the business sector, the feed-in tariff that is just released through the presidential decree for renewable energy is not that attractive. It's very difficult for the private sector to mobilize billions of dollars of investment. And then in the FOLU sector, there is no precedence yet on how to mobilize the private sector funding in the FOLU sector. So I'm just wondering how we can make this happen. There's huge gap, and yet the tariff or the investment to attract the private sector is not yet attractive. Maybe we can have some kind of what we call the regulatory sandbox based on the Korean to Indonesian technology that can be developed and then later on to replicate. Just some idea, but maybe BRIN has another initiative that we can initiate so the private sector can fill the gap. Thank you.
Thank you. It was really nice presentation. My name is Arif Wibowo. I'm from the Research Center for Conservation Marine and Inland Water. I would like to ask to Pamiko, since Madam from Bapenas already mentioned about the research gap that we have regarding this the net zero climate. I would like to ask Pak Mego how BRIN is going to address the research gap that already mentioned by Bapenas, how BRIN is going to something address and make strategy that going to fulfilling this research gap, and also to establish potential collaboration between the Indonesian colleague and then Korea colleague. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Pak Arif. So we have 2 person, yeah, with the question for Pak Mego, yeah. But I think Dr. Vivi also can add more information, yeah, regarding the answer. For Pak Mego, would you?
Okay, thank you very much, moderator, Ibu. Thank you, Pak Jaya Wahono from Kadin, and also Pak Arif. Something that these two questions are also related, yeah. Regarding to the how to make the private company to come to do the research itself, it is very hard. We know that the private company, they will invest if there will be a margin or the economical is good, then they will invest. So BRIN has some program that we can also doing together with the private sector. For example, to as I show in the slide, the private sector can also ask BRIN to be support. BRIN can support not only the funding but also with the infrastructure and the human resources. So the researcher who will doing research in that technology can also come to the private sector, for example, for 3 months, 6 months. It depends on the how long that they asking for this supporting and doing together, because it is very hard to say we can collaborate it into research just to see very short. I think there is some experiences, I think more experience in Korea, that they can doing together the research agency or the researcher doing together with the industries and private company into their infrastructure or the factory, for example, to do such kind of the advanced technology development. And the other thing is, of course, we have to look at what the product will coming in that activities. This is, of course, again, industry on investors are keen to know what kind of the product will come, and otherwise they don't want to going to together to the investment itself. So starting from the beginning, it is very important to discuss between for example, the investor or the industry, the private sector, and BRIN, and also the university, because sometimes we need, for example, the number of the researcher in the not the highest rank but the lower, then they can also, for example, from the university, they can send the postgraduate, for example, to do research together. I think it is very hard to say that, again, very small in the example. I mean, the successful example, the success story in example, how we can also get together with industry and also the investor to do together. So I think, as Ibu Vivi said about the pentahelix, we do together with the government, the academic, the private company, the society, and also the media are also very important to be implemented. And the second one regarding to the Pa Arif, I think the recent gap when we look at the real activities and the real what the product of that technology in supporting for the net zero program, several things are still in the laboratory scale. I think several researchers are now in this event, or we can also discuss more in detail, but we have to try to make it in the more bigger scale. I think scale up is the other challenges. So how to make, for example, in the physical phenomena, it is very not easy, but it is not so difficult to expand and to scale up into the pilot project and even with the commercial planning. But it is very difficult when we look at the, for example, the process of the chemical industry, the biochemical technology, which related to the enthalpy, entropy, and so on. And of course, using the microbiological processing, it is very challenges to make and to scale up the, for example, from the laboratory scale into the commercial scale. I think this event, the Korea and Indonesia and Korea cooperation will give more opportunity to give and take the advantage of the cooperation. I think that's how to fill up the research gap between our researchers and the industrial or the private sector. Thank you.
If I may to add 2 points to respond Pak Wahono questions in relate to the investment. First, I think many of you already see the presidential decree number 112. There are well, the intention is to increase the investment on the renewable energy. So three features is including the not to extend the PLTU, the coal-based power, and then the early retirement, which is will increase the supply from the private, and also the incentives, including land tax and so on. I do hope that these papers will equalize the supply and demand and will cut down the price for the renewable energy product. The second is on another papers, 111. So almost only one separation. 111/2022 is about the acceleration for the SDGs, and one of the instrument, one of the feature in this new papers as well is for the innovative financing. So through the G20, for example, we are proposing to scale up the blended finance. For example, with the development working group, we issuing the guidelines for the blended finance, particularly in the renewable energy. So hopefully not only businesses in Indonesia, but we can work together also across the countries for expanding the renewable energy projects. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Mego and Dr. Vivi. So there is any question from the Zoom session? Okay. How can I?
We can work together also across the countries for expanding the renewable energy projects. Thank you.
Okay, from Amita from BRIN. Does BRIN as the largest research institution from the Zoom and implementation plan to help Indonesia achieve low carbon development in 3 milestone in
Okay, nice. We
2045.
can work together also across the countries for expanding
2060.
the renewable energy projects. Thank you.
So that we may be
From
coordination in prioritize need from
you
Green Korea.
does BRIN as the
Question
largest
to
research
Pak Mego, yeah, from Green, yeah.
Okay, thank you. May I look at the question, please? I think about the prioritized setting, yeah. That's the yes. Regarding to the implementation plan to help Indonesia to achieve the low carbon development in the 3 milestone 2045, 2050, and 2060. So I think there is many challenges and at the same time there are many opportunity regarding to the cooperation between Indonesia and Korea. So what we like to say is 2014 is still 25 years from now, and 50, of course, 2030, and also to 2060s is still 45 years from now. I think there is many opportunity within 10 years and 40 years, so that we can choose what Indonesia will be done and will be targeted in the 2060. As we know that, for example, from the net zero emission, we can also using the energy resource from the biodiversity itself, not only coming from the land, but of course coming from the oceans. It is still open to be explored. And I think from Korea, we can ask what kind of the advanced technology that has been developed and bring it to the commercial product, for example, and the sources coming from the biodiversity, because we know that Indonesia are very rich in the biodiversity and not so so big, or still in the progress to explore more and more from them. I think that's all. So there is no exactly what kind of the technology, but almost all of the technology, advanced technology regarding to the purification or the extraction can be including in that technology. Thank you.
So I think time is over. Okay, let me see. I'm sorry if there is still a question, maybe you can ask directly to the presenter. So I'm as a moderator for this session, I think we got so many important information regarding what our not Indonesian but also Indonesian and Korea facing the 3 planet crisis, climate change, pollution and biodiversity. And here from the Bappenas and also BRIN, they try to set up the strategy how to overcome this problem and the many challenge for us, and between collaboration between Indonesia and Korea, I think it's very promise in the future. So I would like to close this session. I would say thank you very much for all the attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Please give applause for the 2 presenters here. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Fifi, Dr. Mego, Dr. Sartinilia. But Dr. Mego, please stay on the stage. Dr. Fifi also, because there's a token appreciation. Dr. Mego will deliver the token appreciation on behalf of BRIN. Maybe Dr. Sartinilia can join to take a photo. Wait, okay. Yes, 1, 2. Maybe you can open your mask. We can see the handsome and the prettiest. Okay, okay. Dr. Kim, you can join. Okay. Say cheese. 사랑해요. Oh. Okay, enough? Okay, thank you very much for the presentation. This is very important for us to know about the information. Oh, other. Okay. The first session on behalf of Brain, on behalf of the speaker on session 1, Miss Yu and Mr. Chow. And the other one is for okay. Okay, thank you very much. Please give another big applause to the presenter and the moderator. Now we will go to the session 3. Yeah, I will deliver to MC to Miss Defi. Thank you very much. Miss Defi, time is yours.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we will continue to the next agenda. Session 3, we will discuss about comparative analysis report and feedback about NDC and LEDS. This speaker in this section, the speaker is the Dr. Jung Yul Lee from Green Technology Center, Korea. Insinyur Emma Rahmawati, MSc, Director of Climate Change Mitigation from Ministry of Environment and Forestry. And Dr. Andi Yulianti Ramli from Coordinating Ministry of Marine Affairs and Investment. This session will be led by Dr. Ira Nurhayati Jarot from BRIN as a moderator. To Dr. Ira Nurhayati Jarot, time and place is yours.
Thank you very much. Now we are at the session 3, and we have 3 speakers joining us online. The first is Dr. Jung Yul Lee from Green Technology Center, Korea. The second one is Dr. Andi Yulianti Ramli from Coordinating Ministry of Maritime Affairs and Investment. And the last one, Engineer Emma Rahmawati, MSc, Director General of Climate Change Control, Ministry of Environment and Forestry. Let us begin with the first speaker, Dr. Jong Hyol Lee from Green Technology Center, Korea. Dr. Lee, you have 10 to 15 minutes for presentation. Time is yours. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for your kind introduction. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
No, I see. Thank you very much. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for participation in our seminar. I am Jong Hyol Lee, researcher of Green Technology Center. Today, I would like to provide a result of comparing the NDCs of Indonesia and Korea, and then give some implications for our further cooperation. Here are contents. I'm pretty sure most of the participants already know the background of climate change issue and Green Technology Center for this region. I organized my presentation with more summarized contents, starting with the methodology of analysis. It can improve mutual understanding on the NDC of partner country and support demand identification for cooperation. Then I will describe NDCs of two countries and then compare them. Finally, I would like to share implications and suggestions based on the analysis on the NDCs. Framework of analysis. The NDC of each country was analyzed. Then our experience of mutual cooperation was considered for deriving implications and suggestions. Finally, a strategy of technology cooperation between Indonesia and Korea will be facilitated. At first, there are 4 strategic principles of Indonesian NDC. The first one is applying landscape approach. It comprises various ecosystem landscapes for climate change mitigation and adaptation. The second one is emphasizing excellent cases. They admit that there has been substantial progress in governance. Then expanding innovative efforts and traditional knowledge are emphasized. The third one is integrating climate agenda into development plan. It implies that Indonesian government recognizes a necessity of comprehensive integration for sustainable development. The final one is improving climate.
Can you share the slide, please? Move the slide. Full screen, please.
Pardon me?
We cannot see the slide moving from one slide to another slide.
Just a moment.
Yes. Okay. And can you make it full screen, please? Thank you.
Okay, I'll use it.
Full screen. Okay.
It seems much better.
Yes. Okay, you may continue. Oops. Smaller screen.
Just a moment.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so the final one is improving climate resilience in food, energy, water. So the final one is improving climate resilience in food, energy, water nexus, as they are essential to citizens. Increase in demand and climate risk should be considered simultaneously. Okay, this is the overview on Indonesia and NDC. There are 5 sectors: energy, waste, industrial process and productive use, agriculture, and forestry. There are 2 conditions. Just a moment. There is a request on making it bigger. I think there are some technical problems. 뭐야 이거? 좀 이상한데 이거?
Okay.
This is the overview on Indonesian NDC. It provides 5 major sectors, like those 5 things. And there are 2 kinds of mitigation goals. The first one is conditioner. Conditioner means a case of existing international support for implementing NDC. And the other one is unconditional. It means the NDC without international support. And this NDC mainly focuses on energy and forestry sectors. Here are sectorial details in the NDC. Almost 15.5 reduction in energy sector compared to BAU in 2030. Renewable energy includes additional renewable energy, biofuel, co-firing, biomass, and biogas for off-grid. And energy efficiency includes energy management, efficient equipment, and street lighting, and electric biker and stove. Low carbon fuel means substitution of fuel and gas pipeline expansion. Clean core includes enhancement and expansion of clean core plants. And the last one is post-mine reclamation. Actually, this is newly included in the NDC of Indonesia. And the second sector is waste sector, almost 1.5 reduction. The first one is landfill gas, recovery of methane with landfill rehabilitation. It includes rehabilitation of open landfill into sanitary landfill because it can enable methane gas recovery. Recycling focuses on composting, paper cycling, waste to energy, and other industrial waste recycling. Liquid waste management includes operation of aerobic septic tank, biodigester, and biogas utilization. Third one is industry sector, almost 0.3 greenhouse gas reduction. Iron and steel industry will improve smelter processes and scrap utilization. Cement industry will substitute feedstock like clinker, and the nitrogen industries will do some measures for ammonia and nitric acid production. First, agricultural sector, almost 0.4% reduction. Low carbon crop, efficient water management, organic fertilizer, biogas, and feed supplement will be included for mitigating greenhouse gas emission from Indonesia. And the last one is forest sector. This is actually the most important sector for mitigating greenhouse gas emission from Indonesia. Forest degradation, rehabilitation, and land management are included. And they are actually more focused focus on practice or management rather than technological side. And this is the overview on Korean NDC. There are more sectors: energy transition, industry, building, transport, agriculture and fishery, hydrogen, liquid, and other things. And according to the revised NDC, 40% reduction compared to BAU is scheduled. Actually, this is very ambitious goal, but Korea will do best. And this NDC mainly focuses on energy sector, but also considers potential of greenhouse gas mitigation in various sectors. The first one is energy transition sector, about 54.4% reduction compared to BAU in 2030. Core reduction and renewable energy increase are included. And the second one is industry, 13.5% reduction. Steel, petrochemistry, and cement industries are included for mitigating greenhouse gas emission from industry sectors. So substituting feedstock or equipment are planned to implement this NDC. The third one is waste sector. So the 3R, reduction of waste and improvement of waste recycling rate are scheduled. And one interesting thing is bioplastic. Substitution of normal plastic by bioplastic is interesting for you. And the other things are methane gas recovery and energy utilization. And first, agriculture and forestry sector, 27.1% reduction. Low carbon agriculture by simpler irrigation or fertilizer reduction are scheduled. And manual management is also planned by enhancing treatment method or some other energy utilization process. Highly efficient facilities are also planned in this sector. And there are some sectors that are not included in Indonesian NDCs. Building sector wants to mitigate greenhouse gas emission by construction and management and clean energy for buildings. And transport sector will reduce 37.8% compared to BAU in 2030. Mass transportation, e-mobility, or fuel substitution will be implemented for reducing greenhouse gas emission in transport sector. The others are hydrogen, sink, CCUS, or international mechanisms. One interesting thing for you is forestry in sink. Actually, Indonesia, in Indonesia and NDC, there is a sector of forestry, but in Korean NDC, forestry sector is included in sink. Actually, Korean government considers that our Korean forests are actually more carbon sink rather than other things. And this is comparison of NDC overview. Emission and reduction are like that. And energy is actually our common interest, almost higher than 36% for greenhouse mitigation. In Korea, energy and industrial sectors are most important, but in Indonesian NDC, energy and forestry sectors are very important. Actually, forestry sector of Indonesian NDC is very, very important. And these are sectorial comparisons. The first one is sectorial comparison on energy sector. Actually, we have a high similarity and possibility of cooperation. We have a consistency in policy and technology for NDCs in energy sector. And we plan similar energy mix in 2030. And our common and main interests will be renewable energy expansion and energy efficiency in energy sector for attaining NDCs in 2030. The second one is a comparison on waste sector. There is also significant possibility of specific cooperation. Actually, we have also consistency in objective, improving recycle of waste management in perspectives of energy policy and technology. And I also found that there is a necessity of applying Korean technologies to Indonesia. At first, biogas recovery is actually our common interest. Bioplastic is just in Korean NDC, but there is a possibility of technology cooperation for green circular economy in Indonesia. And third one is industrial sector. Actually, there is some possibility of cooperation for specialized area. So we have common same examples of industries like cement, steel and iron, or nitrogen chemicals. But we focus on different scopes of technologies. So highly specific demand identification will be required for our technology cooperation in industrial sectors. And the last one is agriculture, fishery, livestock, forestry sectors. There are significant possibility of specific cooperation. Common applicable technologies are organic fertilizer, biogas recovery, and utilization from manure. For forest sector, we need to focus on forest management practices and policies rather than technological side. And there are some implications and suggestions.
Another 5 minutes.
Okay, I see.
Yes.
Decoupling our common objective, we have constantly cooperated, but based on GTPI with Indonesia, and there are substantial things to cooperate in climate change mitigation and adaptation. And it's time to expand our technology cooperation, exploring more opportunities based on our discussion and analysis. And the first cooperation strategy that I want to suggest is focusing on our common interest first. The first priority is energy sector. Actually, this is the largest contribution to NDC and national industry. And the second priority is forest sector and ITMO. So application of technology and practice to forest and peatland in Indonesia will be effective. And the other sectors like this one, actually there is a necessity of identifying specific technology for facilitating our cooperation. And the other cooperation strategy is exploring hidden opportunities. Actually, industry sector cooperation, improving efficiency with the greenhouse gas mitigation in industrial processes can be considered. Actually, this is not much considered in Indonesian NDC so far. And there are some categories and examples for the cooperation with a form of project and program. Actually, for initial phase, technical assistance will be possible, including initial policy cooperation, demand identification, pre-feasibility study, or simple capacity building and demonstration project. And small or middle scale ODA can be done as a middle phase. Demonstration and regionalization of technology, capacity building, and feasibility study can be done. And finally, we can implement our cooperation by loan comprehensive establishment of sectoral policy development program or direct investment on infrastructure for practical implementation can be possible in the near future. Thank you very much, and terima kasih.
Thank you, Dr. Lee. Next speaker is Dr. Andi Yulianti Ramli for coordinating Ministry of Maritime Affairs and Investment. Dr. Andi, time is yours. You have 10 to 15 minutes for presentation.
Okay. Is everybody already seeing my screen?
Yes. Could you make it full screen, please?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Ya, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello, everybody. It's very pleasure to have a talk today. So let me introduce myself. I'm Andi from the Deputy Director of Industry Supporting Infrastructure, Coordinating Ministry of Maritime and Investment. Yeah. So in principle, the coordinating ministry, we have the task to supporting the development of the industrial park and to the bottleneck if there's a problem arise. So our scope of work is based on the RPJMN 2020 to 24, 9 major projects and 18 developing industrial parks. As we can see here, the indication target for this 5 years, starting from 2020, there was only 3 kawasan industrial parks operated until our target in 2024 that will be 9 industrial park operated. And so the highlights of the project is to have a harmonization in the regulation, in special permits and investment facilitation, and to develop industrial park and the smelter, and also the supporting industry, and to increase the investment, marketing and cooperation, international cooperation, and also a partnership and capital, human resources. Next, so as we mentioned before, the 9 projects and 18 developing industrial parks, which we can see here that mostly located on the west side of Indonesia and some parts in eastern part of Indonesia, but actually this is for the 9 priority industrial parks and 18 which is still under development, but actually there are several industrial parks which is still in the permit process. Okay, and this is for the kawasan ekonomi khusus, special economic zone. So there are 18 zones in Indonesia, and there are 2 for the free trades and free ports. There are 2 locations which is in northern tip of Sumatra Island and in Batam. Yeah, here we can see the route from the 2020, from the Perpres 109, 18 industrial parks until Permenko Econ number 9, 2022, 18 industrial park and plus 1 programs, which is also included in national strategic project. The plus 1 is a program for smelter development. Yeah, next. Oops. I'm sorry. There's a problem with my Mbak. Ini ada problem ini Mbak. Halo.
The committee, could you help?
Ya nggak apa-apa, saya ini lagi lah, ulangi lagi. Tadi sudah sampai di oke, ya.
Yes. Yeah.
Ya nggak mau lagi Mbak.
Yes.
Iya. And show. Mungkin ada bisa dibantu saya di boleh. Oh,
Maybe you can send us your slides, your PowerPoint, and then the committee.
for this page, can you see it?
Yes.
Okay, so maybe
Full
you don't need to make it full screen. Let me have it. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So for supporting the green energy and the green industry, whatsoever environmentally friendly industry, we are working based on this government regulation number 28 year 2001 concerning the industrial sector. First, it's for the raw material and or the supporting material. So it is also this regulated that the industry should use raw material or supporting material which is efficiently environmentally friendly and sustainable, and there should be harmonization in using the natural resources efficiently and so on, as we can see here, and by using technology which is environmentally friendly and for the waste and for pengelolaan limbah and reducing the gas emission and reducing the pollution. Also, there are management in energy. It is also regulated in this government regulation, and also the water management, and there are standardization for green industry. So what we can see here for the room of cooperation between Indonesia and Korea for our Indonesian industrial park. First is raw material and supporting material. We have to impose to use local raw material, and there should be a raw material management. Secondly is in energy efficiency, and which is energy management. Energy efficiency is the first energy. So that's the principle, and also renewable energy is the must. So we have to promote for water resource management, which is water balance and water conservation. I think that's all for me today, and would like to thank you all for your attention. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. Thank you, Dr. Andi. And the last speaker will join us, is Ibu Erma Rahmawati from Ministry of Environment and Forestry. You have 10 to 15 minutes for presentation. Time is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much, moderator. Good afternoon. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, I would like to thank for this opportunity to be involved in this very important event. Let me share the screen. I would like to also thank to Dr. Lee for his complete and comprehensive comparison of NDC from Republic of Korea and Indonesia. I didn't make this comparison and analysis. Instead, I would like to share with you how Indonesia's NDCs evolve over time towards our long-term vision on net zero emission by 2060 or sooner. As previously mentioned by Brin and also by Dr. Lee, our long-term vision has already detailed in our long-term strategy for low carbon and climate resilience 2050 submitted to UNFCCC Secretariat last year. Under this document, it is quite clear that to enable Indonesia to achieve a net zero by 2060 or sooner, we have to have peaking time for 5 sectors in 2030 with a GHG emission level of 1.2 gigaton carbon dioxide equivalent. And then we have to be at the emission level in 2050 at 540 million ton carbon dioxide equivalent. And the requirement is that we have to be net sink started in 2030. So this graph I show you here is the third scenarios under this LTS LCCR 2050. As we have 3 scenarios, one is the CPOS current policies. If we refer to the first NDC and updated NDC, and then the second scenarios is transitions. With these 2 scenarios, there are no indication for peaking of GHG emission, and our intention is to reach this target by having this third scenarios, which is LCCP, low carbon compatible with Paris Agreement. From this graph, we can see here that follow sector could be a net sink started in 2030 with minus 140 million ton carbon dioxide equivalent, and then becoming minus 326 in 2060 to balance the total GHG emission from other 4 sectors. So what the basis of the process to date, we refer to the decision 1CME3 adopted in Glasgow, where parties are invited to enhance their NDC, to communicate it prior to the COP27, and also to align, to make effort to align its NDC towards long-term low GHG emission development strategies, and then make effort towards net zero emission. So the deadline has been over in 23rd of September last month. No, what is the progress if we are talking at international level? when we are at this moment proceeding to the COP27. The new or updated NDC submitted by parties totally 23, and then the LTS 53 countries, and many countries now in the process of energy transitions, and also some countries make some effort on methane mitigation on non-GHG, non-carbon dioxide, including methane. There are some discussion will be held in COP27 to discuss further development of the ambition of parties in their NDCs. Now, the process that we are evolving in Indonesia, that we started our initial NDC in 2015, and then we submitted our first NDC in 2016 with similar target of 29 and 41% unconditionally and conditionally. And in 2021, last year, we submitted together our updated NDC with our LTS LCCR 2050. In this updated NDC, Indonesia didn't enhance the mitigation target, but we had a more detailed and also more ambitious target for adaptation, including oceans. This year, last month, Indonesia has submitted enhanced NDC. It is improve and also enhance our mitigation target of NDC as very much analyzed completely by Dr. Lee. And then, of course, it is not yet compatible with our 1.5 degree scenarios. So that's why we are still having an intention to prepare for the next second NDC in 2025 in order us to be in line with 2050 visions, and then also towards 2060 net zero emissions visions. So why we enhance our NDC? The first thing, we are aware that our NDC target is not in line with 1.5 degree target of Paris Agreement. It is very important to make effort to this alignment, as Indonesia is one of the most vulnerable countries to the impact of climate change, and Indonesia also one of among 10 countries in the world that result GHG emissions. And then we have discussed it with all related ministries, and we could agree, and then we improve the target. And then there are also some other improvement, as we have also submitted our second file to UNFCCC Secretariat, which are now under assessment. And then there are some improvement on transparency framework, where Indonesia has established a national registry system, which will also be strengthened with the function of carbon registry, and that will be linked with the registry system, carbon registry system under UNFCCC. As I mentioned before, we have a new policy on follow netting 2030. So we have started the process this year to prepare for all requirement for enabling Indonesia to start for achieving follow netting in 2030 onwards. And this is to balance of GHG emission to achieve net zero emission. The other thing is Presidential Regulation number 98 year 2021. This is the legal basis for implementation of NDC and also carbon pricing, and also that's include the vision toward LTS LCCR and also net zero emission. The other thing why we enhance our NDC is the adaptation aspect. For Indonesia, adaptation as important as mitigation. And we also address the concern on including in the inclusion of a global goal on adaptation, also the concern of adaptation financing, and the most important thing, how our efforts and also supported by international cooperation to enhance our national resilience to face the impact of climate change. This is to show you how Indonesia developed national registry system as the backbone of transparency framework. As we are aware that we will have our biennial transparency report 2024 and then a global stock take 2023. So we have to be ready with this transparency framework. So that's why Indonesia developed this system. And also, as we are implementing carbon pricing, this system also could support how we could develop this carbon pricing and also on one GHG data policy.
You have another
This table has been presented very well, but Dr. Lee, so I do not add more detail on this table, but I would like also to inform you that our elaboration for this NDC does not include the process of net zero emission in energy sector. For example, we do not include the plan of retirement of coal power plant, and then also the plan for having the development of hydrogen of CCS, CCUS is not yet included because we still use the baseline in which we used it in previously in 2015, and also this NDC is not yet include the action for minus 140 million ton carbon dioxide equivalent. What we have included just only minus 15 ton. That also has addressed by Dr. Lee. This is under the conditional target, and this is only come from water management in peatland. In the IPPU, we have not yet included HFC. I think Korea also included the HFC. And new sector, ocean, we know exactly the potential of ocean, but there are still some big uncertainties. So that's why we are still also lacking data for this ocean. So that's why we identified ocean as new sector and could be developed further. And that's why all those these action that are not included in our enhanced NDC will be elaborated to be included in our second NDC, where we will revise our baseline and to include all these actions. And on the research, at this moment, of course, if we are talking about 5 or 10 and then many years to come, there are some necessity to do some research to enhance and also to strengthen the methodology for ocean. We would like to include ocean, but at this moment we are still lacking of activity data. We are still lacking on emission factor, in particular local emission factor, and we are for sure to be certain on the activity and the boundaries of the activities to be included as commitment from Indonesia from ocean. For example, currently we only have a methodology for mangrove as a part of a supplement of IPCC guideline 2026, and then we have not yet any methodology for seagrass. That's for example. So that's why we need to develop this methodology. And then for CCUS, as also important, we have to have agreed and then a global methodology for CCS. IPCC has special report on CCS published in 2015, but I think that could be updated with taking into consideration the current development of CCS globally, and then we have to agree on this methodology to enable artists, to enable countries to measure and also to verify this GHG emission from activities from CCS, CCUS, and other mitigation action. So I think this kind of research could be the potential collaboration with the Republic of Korea, and as I also could highlight it, the presentation from Dr. Lee that in Korea also included CCS in your NDC. It is very important then from Indonesia to learn from Korea how Korea could develop methodology for CCS, for example, or hydrogen, as Indonesia also has a plan to include hydrogen in 2060 scenarios. And also the most important thing, as we have to MRV all those GHG emission reduction. So it's also important in this point of collaboration to also we could have some potential cooperation in this MRV. That's all for my presentation. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, we have all the presenters and we can have 10 minutes maximum for discussion. I will start from the audience here. For question to Dr. Lee on highlight of NDC and LED project Korea, Indonesia, and then the coordinating Ministry of Maritime and Investment on science technology part regarding this, and from Ministry of Forestry and Environment for topics of research should be collaborative. Any question, comments? If not, then could the committee help me looking at the question from the chat, please, if any? Okay, first question from Eduardus Anthony. Indonesia-Korea friendship grows. Hope to see both nations help regional peace and development. I think this is common. And second question, what do it from climate change this year when you compare for conclusion you can apply good? Is this written in the chat? Yes. Okay. So I'm not very sure what is the question, the second one. Anyway, seems like we don't have any question, but let me guess. Maybe the question of how do you compare application on food from the climate change? Okay. That's all. That's as far as I can guess. Okay. I think we have no question for session 3, and I will return it to the MC. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thanks to Dr. Ira Nurhayati Jarot. And please give a big applause to all the speakers. And we will give a token of appreciation on behalf of the speakers to Mr. Nugroho Adi Sasongko. Ms. Cynthia. First token of appreciation to Dr. Andi Yulianti Ramli. Still in.
Bu Emma, Bu Andi, dan Mr. Dr. Lee from GTC. Thank you very much for giving a very comprehensive and excellent presentation and sharing today. As our gratitude and remark, we would like to give some small souvenir for all of you. Plakat plates from BRIN. I don't know, can you see this one?
Terima kasih.
Thank you.
Terima kasih.
Okay, thank you to Mr. Nugroho Adi Sasongko, and please give a big applause to all the speakers and the moderator. And ladies and gentlemen, we will take a lunch break about 1 hour. Please enjoy your lunch on the back, on the right side of this room. And we will back to this room on 1:30, about 1:30. Please enjoy your lunch. Thank you.
Everybody, please silakan makan. Okay, enjoy your lunch. This is a famous Ayana buffet. 정성껏 점심을 준비했으니까 맛있는 음식 다 같이 한 번도 가지 마시고 점심 식사 다 같이 해주시면 좋겠습니다. 뷔페로 가셔서 음식을 가져다가 자리에서 같이 담소 나누시면서 식사하시기 바랍니다. Have a good lunch time. Okay. I suggest you after that lunch, we're gonna more session 4 or 5. It will be more the fruitful discussion about NDC LEDS between the country. That's why please tidak pulang, stay more time after lunch. Thank you very much.